Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Hello. What up,
Good to
man?
see you, my friend. What's cracking?
Been forever. I feel
I know.
2017, I think, was the last time.
We'll have to go back and check, but was the last time that I saw you on the podcast? Is that the last time I saw you?
I think it was. We came with like a voting expert before the election. Like it might have been like 2017.
That's right.
I think because we did hot yoga, then I came back on the show.
Yeah, we did hot yoga for your show. That was fun.
Yeah, that was dope.
That was fun. That was fun.
Then Vice ran out of money and, couldn't do the show anymore.
Well, somebody got money. Didn't Shane Smith make a fucking
Shane's the
ton
man.
of loot?
Shane's the man.
Yeah, I love that dude.
I still talk to Shane, but no, it was. I think the end of Wong's World was just they were like, "Yo, we still want to do Wong's World, but can we make it domestic?" And I wanted to do films, and I was just like, "Love you. I'm gonna go make this film."
So they wanted to do it in the United States because of travel costs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And just because Viceland the first couple years, it was just the accounting was off. On people were just spending money crazy.
Bro, it started out, they would take these guys with glasses on, these nerds, and send them over to like the middle of a goddamn war zone. These dudes would be filming with a flak jacket on, and bombs are blowing off in the Middle East, and they're just reporting there. You're like, whoa, Vice is wild.
Yeah, it was the best because Vice would just pick the most dangerous shit and be like, "Here's $30,000. Go with a 5D camera, and fucking come back with some footage and try not to die." And then once it became the TV channel, it got crazy because I was probably the biggest perpetrator. So in all fairness to Shane, somebody needed to be like, "Eddie, you're burning money crazy," because I was going to like F1 tracks and I literally, the last episode, I went on an F1 track in Abu Dhabi, and Shane was there, and he's like, "What are you doing here? You're a fucking food show." And I was like, I don't know. I got to learn to drive this car. It's like getting caught by your boss. Like
That's
fucking
hilarious. I'm here to try Formula One food, bro.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to try the concessions.
Dude, they sent David Cho to the Congo to look for a dinosaur. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's the most ridiculous shit of all time.
It might be the greatest Vice episode ever.
Bro, it's an amazing episode.
Yeah.
That and Haimo's Arctic Adventure. That's my favorite one. That's the one about that dude who lives in Alaska. His subsistence survives in this very small cabin.
Yeah.
And he's the last person that's allowed to own this cabin in this wilderness.
I haven't seen it.
Woo! That one's heavy. That's heavy.
But that's the Cho episode's the best because there's so many people now, especially in LA, that are like, for a honeymoon or like for the holidays, I'm gonna go to the Congo. I wanna go to West Africa, and I'm just like, bro, watch that episode real quick.
Yeah, watch that episode.
That's not where you're staying, but it's close to where you trying to go. Like check that episode out.
You're in the middle of a conflict zone. It's very dangerous being down there.
Yeah.
It's just. Poof, and probably no dinosaurs.
No, there's probably no dinosaurs. I want to go to Ethiopia, but I'm not going wherever Cho went. I'm like, I'm not going
David's
there.
wild, man. He went when he camped with the Hadza. He stayed with the Hadza and went hunting with them.
Yeah.
He was saying that when they shot, they were shooting baboons to eat. And he said it's crazy when they shoot a baboon, it grabs the arrow. And like you see it grab the arrow, you're like, yo, that's a little too weird, you know?
Cho was really putting himself in danger.
Oh yeah.
I was more like the Vanderpump Cho. You know what I mean? I was like, let's have a nice
Formula One
fucking
in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. Let's
Beautiful
live it up.
people, beautiful land.
Yeah,
have a good time.
see some fucking people here. Have a good time. Stay in a nice hotel.
Yeah.
I chose like the opposite of conflict zones.
You know, I've been to Dubai once. I was there. There was a UFC in Abu Dhabi, and we did the weigh-ins in Dubai. And that was the only time I've ever been there. But I was like, wow, this place is crazy. But everybody I know that goes over there says, like, you can't even believe what you're looking at. There's no crime. And it's this, like, massive city.
Yeah.
And everything's, like, opulent and beautiful. And people are moving there just because it's an amazing place to live.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I'm just like, how long is this thing going to last? Because they're, like, importing water for like plumbing, you know?
How are they doing that?
I mean, I think they're just stealing water from everywhere, like we steal water, you know. But it's like
who owns the water?
I have no idea.
That's
I didn't look into it, but it's like all the workers are brought in, all the water is brought in. Like they don't. It's like in the middle of nowhere in the desert.
Bro, it's Daniel Day-Lewis. I drink your milkshake.
Yeah. But I love Dubai. Like Dubai was a great time.
It's beautiful over there. At least the small amount of it I saw. Vice had a very disturbing piece about them back in the day too, about the construction.
Yes, the migrant workers getting crushed. They need to do like a sex worker special in Dubai too, because the stories I hear from like the people who have gone there for some work, like shitting in buckets, dog.
Oh Jesus!
Like shitting in buckets in Dubai.
Oh my God!
I like feel like that would be a good title of a doc.
Shitting in buckets
in Dubai.
That's what's so fascinating about people, that there's people that are living at the top of luxury at the same time people are living on dirt floors with no electricity in a shack that they built out of scraps, just trying to figure out how to eat that day. And that there's more of those people than there are the people living in luxury. But if you look at any kind of like billboards and advertisement, depictments of life, it's almost always the luxury one. It's always the person like with the fucking fantastic view of the ocean behind them when they're eating their breakfast at some luxury 5-star resort. Like that's what people look towards.
Yeah.
But it's all existing simultaneously.
And then the guy that's actually living the luxurious life, not the actor on the billboard, he's like paying an escort to shit in a bucket and then fucking eat it with a caviar spoon.
God.
Like
no.
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm talking about.
God. I thought they didn't have bathrms.
No.
I didn't understand you were saying shit in a bucket because that's a kink.
Yeah, like put your fucking clear heels on and shit in this bucket.
Bro.
Yeah.
How much does a girl get paid for something like that? Jamie just made a noise.
I'm going to plead ignorance.
Yeah, out of all the acts that you would have someone do, imagine like that's your thing.
Yeah.
I would really like to watch you take a shit in a bucket. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Just like, let's see what you had for lunch.
Oh, God.
Is that Terry Black's barbecue in there?
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Oof.
It just goes all the way around, man. You get to the top, you get rich, and then I think you just want to eat like, I don't know.
Different jobs that suck, but anytime you're dealing with human shit, that's like as far on the bad side of the spectrum as is possible. If you are interacting with other people's shit, like, ooh, that's not a good job.
Yeah, and human shit is different than like dog shit. There's some
way
like
different.
Dog shit. I'm like, all right. I had to pick up human shit once, and I was like, bro, this is
weird.
fucking crazy. It's too close to home, man.
Bro, our diets are terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, dogs, most of the time, they're just eating dog food. What's interesting about a dog is if you give a dog something other than what it's accustomed to eating, they get diarrhea.
Have you ever had to pick up another human's shit?
Other than my kids when they were little, you know, you have to clean their diaper, and sometimes there's a mess. No, I don't think so. It's interesting when it's a child though. When it's a child, it's like it doesn't even faze you. It's like it's you. It's like cleaning your own shit.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's like, you know, if someone was right next to you on an airplane, they were changing a baby diaper, which has happened to me before. You're like, yo, like you gotta look away, like it's the smell and this little baby's asshole's all fucking covered in poop. You know, it's just like, okay, but what you gotta do? Like, I get it. You gotta change, but. If it's your kid, it's weird. It's like it doesn't seem even like you know when you take a shit. It's very rare that I take a shit and I'm like, Jesus Christ, let me get out of here. Like, what the fuck does that smell? Like maybe once every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Most of the time I take a shit, it's normal. I just flush it, it's normal. That's what it's like when it's a kid's shit. It's like it's not even gross.
I think I'm once a month stinky. Like once a month, I'm like,
once a month.
Don't try that recipe again.
It's usually when I feel like a rumble before I know I have to take a shit. Like, jeez, what is that? Okay, I better get in there. And then when you get in there, just whoa! And whatever that rumble is probably some gases that have been stewing up inside of your bowels.
No, I knew I really loved my wife because one day I had to pick up her shit, and I was like, bro, picking up adult human shit is fucking like babies. I get it.
Yeah,
babies, you expect it. I think a lot of your reactions in life, it's about expectation. Like if you're expecting to be punched in the face, it doesn't. Like you're not gonna get knocked out. People always say that.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
You see it coming, you won't get knocked out.
Well, sometimes you still get knocked out. Depends on how hard somebody hits you. Like if Francis Ngannou hits you in the face, even if you're
I would
looking
be
at him,
knocked out.
Most of us are getting knocked.
For sure.
Almost everybody,
For sure.
if it really hits you.
But I think if it's somebody that's like on his level and sees it coming and in a fight with him, I feel like maybe.
Probably not. But the point is that if you don't see it, it's amazing what knocks you out. Like
Yeah.
a lot of things knock you out.
It could be light.
Yeah, it's not. It just has to hit you clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened. My girl had like a crazy food poisoning moment. And then she was like, yo, Eddie, come downstairs. And I was like, what? And she was like, I shit on the floor. And it turned out like I can't tell the whole story because she's got to tell it one day. Like, but like it turned out it wasn't food poisoning. She had a much more serious like health condition situation. But like I turned when she's like, I shit on the floor, and I saw like a little Hershey kiss. I'm like, all right, I like. It's still weird you didn't make it to the bathroom, but like that's not bad.
If you love her, it's a good test.
Yeah, I
It's like,
picked it up.
whatever,
I picked it up.
with
You
just
know,
people.
yeah.
If you had to do it every day, it'd get tiresome though.
No.
If she started testing your boundaries, Amber Heard style, start shitting in your bed.
Oh. And then they also did something with Taco Bell. There was something about Amber Heard and Taco Bell, and I can't remember.
I guarantee you
What
that's
the fuck
a
did they do?
boundary testing maneuver. If I had to guess, I would guess.
See, that's what I thought at first too. I was like, "Yo, you're testing me. This is you're doing all those things," but it wasn't. I pick up this Hershey Kiss, and then I'm like, "All right, that's not bad. I'll do it. I'm just gonna play along. You got food poisoning." I turn, and there is a giant pile of shit in my like pajama pants, these Redskins pajama pants, and I was like, "Ah!" I just like jumped and screamed, like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I told you I shit on the floor." She's like, "Aren't you glad I shit in the pajama pants instead of the floor?" And I was like, yeah, and then I like wrapped it like lotus leaf sticky rice and just ran to the garbage can.
You didn't wash it out?
No,
Are they
then
your favorite pajamas?
No. The pajamas gotta
They're
go.
gone?
Once your girl takes a shit in your pants, they gotta go.
No. You're supposed to clean them and go, hey, babe, remember these?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are my favorites.
It's
You
horny
shit
time.
all over 'em.
It's horny time. Let's get horny. I was mad at her first. Then I found out girls are getting paid 60 G's to go shit in a bucket in Dubai. I'm like,
60 G's.
I was like,
you just
dude,
dropped the number. We were wondering.
I was like, I just threw away $60,000 value here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have to be there when it happens.
Yeah.
I think after the fact, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not as valuable.
We didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. You got to also probably part of the kink is that you're asking for it and then they do it. That's probably part of the kink. It's not that you just like randomly saw someone take a shit.
Yeah.
You just like you ask them to do it and then they go, all right. And they don't even want to do it, but they do it for you because they want the money.
It's not isolated either. Like I know multiple people that have been paid to take shits. And my brother was telling me once, like there's dudes that are like, you're going to eat this specific shit. Then you're going to shit this.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, wait, this is like a 3-day process.
So it's like broccoli. I want broccoli, chicken. I want
Yeah. I'm like,
apples, blueberries.
I might go with a McDonald's apple
Oh,
pie.
my God. But that's probably part of the power trip of it, right? Like paying someone to eat a specific diet and then seeing it come out of their butt. What the hell, man?
We got to find one of those
What is
guys
wrong
to
with
come on the
people?
show because I need to get in that person's head and be like, what is in here?
Yeah, not good. Nothing's good. I guarantee that person has a job they hate. They have a job they hate, and they probably slave away, and they're probably on Adderall, and then they probably make tons of money. Like if you are worth $1 billion, and you could pay someone $60,000 just to shit in a bucket, like you do it's like it's a live version of the internet. It's like if someone sent you a live leak video of some lady shitting in a bucket, you'd be like, dude, why are you sending me this? They're like, right? Don't you get those?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten it, but I know what you're talking about.
Bro, I've been sending people this one. We're going to watch this together.
Let's
I've been
watch
sending people this one of this dude whacking this guy in the, this lady whacking this dude in the nuts with a golf club. Have you seen it? He's a big fat guy. Hold on a second, please. You're going to freak. This is a rough one. This one's rough. It's so ridiculous. You're like, why would you do, what are you doing, man? You're going to die. That's how bad it is. Hold on. Why is it when Instagram opens up sometimes it wants to take you to a blank page? Did you find it already? Here, I got you. All right, I just texted it to you. This one's so ridiculous. Nah, you would think if you're some sheikh in Dubai, you're some rich dude in Saudi
He likes to hurt
Arabia.
himself. I just found his YouTube channel.
What's that?
Brittany sent it to me. This guy likes to hurt himself.
Oh yeah, you heard.
Oh,
Give me some volume.
I
give
feel
give
like
me
I've
some volume
seen this
and
guy.
redo it.
great. He has good. He got the Gucci Mane ice cream face tattoo.
Watch this.
Oh my God! Oh!
That is the worst angle too. Like he could have done it a lot of different ways. He like really put his nuts on a platter.
Bro, he might lose a nut from that. Like this
He's
guy's
lost his
crazy.
nuts.
He's got no teeth. He literally has like 4 teeth on each side of his face.
I don't. Whoa.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow. What is that dude's name? Give that dude credit.
Yeah. What brand are the boxer briefs? It
Gucci
looks
Berry.
like
He's
Ethica.
Gucci Berry. That's his name.
I'm Gucci Berry.
I'm Gucci Berry. God bless you.
He's got like the Highlander boxer briefs too.
God bless you.
Colon
Look,
Crusher.
colon crusher. He's got a tattoo of himself on himself
That's
Belly
wild.
button
that
is the
says
hole.
colon crusher, and his belly button is his asshole. So I guess he gets just whacked in the asshole all the time. That's his move.
I like that
Go to his
every
page.
few years there's like a new insane fat man. Like he replaced the Sausage Castle guy.
as the clear.
Oh wow.
No, go back to his go to his Instagram page. Let's just like
Wait, there's a link there that said this guy's obsessed with hurting his
Yeah,
genitals.
that's how I found him at the same time.
oh my God.
Wait, hold on. He gets laid for the first time in 15 years too.
He's doing okay.
Well, how many followers does he have?
43,000.
Oh, look at him. He's getting hit with a golf club and he's getting laid. And he's eating pizza with no teeth.
If someone told
They're
me
out there. People are out there. Oh my God, is he gonna get hurt?
Oh, is he?
Oh, my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Oh my God.
That's fake. It's fake video.
Oh, okay.
Fake video. Fake video.
Okay.
You need that guy on.
No, I don't.
We got to get in his head.
No, I don't need anything. You're my last guest. I'm done. I quit.
I want to see him work out in the gym.
Oh no, you don't.
Or you could put him
drop this kettlebell on my dick hole.
put him into archery shit and then see if you can hit his nuts from like 500 feet away.
I don't think you can do that. Oh, what is
Oh.
he doing? A rock?
He
Oh.
split a log on his nuts.
Oh Jesus! Don't show me this.
This is crazy.
How is this guy not like losing a nut? I know multiple guys who've lost nuts from kickboxing.
Yeah, I mean, there was always a kid in every school that's like, he lost his nut.
I know 2 dudes who got kicked in the balls and it ruptured their nut.
This is good.
It's good, right?
This
Kill
is
clip.
good.
Yeah,
you definitely get a
flaming
little
joint.
head buzz too.
Well, it only has like CBD. It's not psychoactive. You're just high. You're just high in
Oh,
this
you
room.
think so?
It's just this room, bro. This room. This room
It
has
tastes good.
so much floating around in it. Yeah, it's good. This is Killcliff. We gave like I think there was like 7 or 8 different samples that we had to go through to get to this.
Actually, I probably got the head buzz from the Black Rifle.
That's right.
This thing has
That's got a shit ton.
23 grams of
caffeine.
sugar.
But
a
the
lot
caffeine,
of
too. It's a lot of caffeine. They have those big cans. The big cans are 300 milligrams, which is just nuts. That's a lot.
I feel like everyone is a 3-bev person now, like at all times. Like it used to just be like water, juice, coffee. Now it's like, oh, I got this Black Rifle, I got the CBD, I got water.
We're greedy. Our empire's
Yeah.
falling. I want coffee, a glass of wine, and a bottle of water. Let's go.
Squeeze juice.
Whatever I want. I'm gonna be here for a while. I want different things to try.
Yeah.
We're a failing empire.
The Empire's definitely failed. Like if you watch at all levels, like
Yeah.
especially what's really funny with the Fed thing now is that like they want to fight inflation, but then they just threw billions of dollars back into the market, and I'm like, inflation's gonna go crazy.
I don't see a way where this levels out and becomes something that we can all say is like a reasonable system.
No,
That's what scares the shit out of me.
I think all the pricing's out of whack. It's gonna stay out of whack because the economy just wants to keep going and it won't stop.
Yeah, that's what's wild about growth, like constant never-ending growth. Just bigger, bigger. It's kind of wild that all corporations kind of operate on that mentality, right? Like if you're a shareholder for whatever company it is, like a really successful company like Apple, you want them to do better next quarter. Like, hey, you guys should be doing better. Like you have to do better. Like you already, this company's worth like fucking $8 trillion. We're like, let's come on, guys. It's quarter. I need these fucking prices to come up.
Yeah.
People are playing this weird gambling game with your value and your popularity. It's very strange that we all think that everything should keep growing and grow forever.
It's just, I think, human self-interest and human nature to like want to compete and want to grow and want to get better. But I'm waiting for the next like great economist, because I do feel like everything is still just like Adam Smith Wealth of Nations. And it's like there's been Marxism, there's been other things, but nothing has topped that guy's like idea for the global economy. And I think somebody has to come around that is not anti-growth, but like really like, all right, looking at nature, looking at resources, looking at like war, like what is the reasonable amount of growth we can have? Just like working out, right? You know, like you have the trainers that are just like fucking do 70 exercises and fucking all these reps and yada yada. But I actually do better with the trainers that are like, hey, let's work hard for 45 minutes. Rest, recovery, focus on recovery. How much can you do? How much can you push your body? Like, I think that's the type of guy we need, or girl, to like have a new philosophy for the global economy.
The problem is relying on any one person is a crazy idea.
Yeah, not relying, but like to have the idea.
To have like a vision. Yeah. Well, that would be nice, but I feel like one of the problems, one of the problems with our system is that we're always looking for a leader. So this person comes in, they're a president for 4 years, and then they have to try again, and then they get it for 8 years. So when they come in, they come to the most important job in the world, but they're new. They're noobs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've done a lot of different things, right? And you could speak to this. When you first start doing a thing, you like kind of got to figure it out. But if it's the most important job in the world with international consequences and nuclear war rides on it and the economy rides on it and pandemic response and international relations and a porous border, and you just come into the job new.
Yeah. You just come in, as soon as you come in, they're already thinking about re-election.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, they're like,
you think he'll run in 2024?
Oh, Sleepy Joe?
No, I mean, that's what they say.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. But like, I really think the re-electing of people, we need longer terms, but then also I wouldn't sign up for that until we really get a hold of the SPAC shit and the like gerrymandering, because the whole system's just really broken right now.
The systems are very broken. They need to figure out a way to get money out of it, and it's too late. Because you can't get money out of it, because money is the whole thing. It's like the special interest groups and all the donors. It's like there's so much money moving around. And then when people leave office, they get these fucking cushy speaking gigs. Eddie, get in on some of that money.
Obama trading being the president for being an influencer is the most comedic shit ever. I'm like, who the fuck needs your playlist? Like, I loved Obama. I was the first one to print Obama t-shirts and support him. Once he was in office, I feel like he didn't come through on a lot of the things.
He didn't come through on a lot of things, but I think Putin spoke to that.
Yeah.
Putin spoke to these guys, all have these ideas until they get into office, and then the real people who run the country have a conversation with them. He goes, they come in suits like mine, but with black ties, and they tell them, you're not doing anything. And I think that's happened to every single president, except Trump actually fought back against the intelligence agencies, went to war with them, which is very crazy.
That was crazy.
That's so crazy that he did that. But as far as a representative of the United States, who better than Obama? He was the best of all time.
Yeah, the best.
The best of all time.
The best.
He's the most educated and eloquent and even-keeled, and he was a statesman, and the way he spoke inspired confidence that truly the wisest amongst us is the king. That's what we want.
And then that's what you realize is what you're voting for as president is not actually a get-it-done person. It's a figurehead, just like the Queen of England, you know.
It would be nice if they were both.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't think they get to be. I don't think they'll ever tell the truth, but I bet Obama as a lawyer in Chicago, when he gets into the office, there's probably like a real part of him that didn't know how it was all behind the scenes. I don't think they let anybody know until you get in there. I don't think it's, why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they? I think they explain to you. I think they sit you down and show you some fucking horrific facts about the world and show you what we're trying to stop and what's currently going on all over the place. And here's what happens if this goes down. Here's what happens if that goes down. We have to be careful of this. We have people in here. We have people that infiltrated this group. I mean, somebody wrote this on Twitter. There's more FBI informants in the Proud Boys than there are Proud Boys.
Yeah. Yo, I actually, I choose to live in America. I really prefer this because since I saw you, I lived for a year in Taiwan during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And by the end of my stay there, I was like, I really, I prefer to live in America.
What was the major difference?
The major difference to me was that socially, just the way you interact socially with your lifestyle in Asia, it's significantly more conservative than the West, right? Like there's so much more groupthink, there's so much more peer pressure. Everybody rolls in groups, and it's just like you're not really an individual even within the groups. And then people want you to like subscribe to this. You can't hang out with everybody. You got to be like part of this group or that group. And then
So that's a cultural thing.
I think it was very cultural, and I also just think the EQ in Asia is very rule-based when it comes to like emotional intelligence. Like we have very, very specific manners. Like the youngest person is going to pour tea. Your father eats first. Like even in language, something very simple, which is if your mother's mom, you just be like, that's grandma. In ours, the name for your mother's mom is like Lolo. The name for your father's mom is Nai Nai. It's very specific, and there's a hierarchy. Like your father's mom is higher, your mother's mom is lower. And it's just, to me, I'm like, yo, this is too much critical analysis of like stature. And then your interactions with people are so much based on your standing in society versus theirs. And everybody acts in accordance with this kind of like agreed upon status. It's borderline caste system-y. And then when there isn't like racial diversity either there, it's all Asian people, I was just like, this is a little too cloying for me. But when I look at the government, like China as a government out there, and I was living in Taiwan, spent a lot of time in China. My brother still lives in China. But the Chinese government, to me, is much more effective than the American government. Like if it wants to get something done, China's going to have it done in 24 hours. The building may fall apart, but it'll be done, but they can get things done. And then I also think like, they're not a benevolent country. No country's benevolent. It's all a business, right? They're competing for citizens, but their type of feudalism and like colonialism compared to American colonialism, I think I would prefer if I was the country being shitted on. Like, America will take you over. It will, they'll send the CIA and they'll do all those things we've seen in all the countries. But China, they'll invest and then own you, which also sucks. It's its own poison.
Pretty clever.
Yeah, it's clever. And I just think there's always going to be a new government and a new, better deal. And like, I think China's the better deal right now for like a developing continent like Africa or Latin America. You probably get better terms with China.
Yeah, they'll give you a loan that you can't pay off as opposed to sending the military.
Exactly.
It's like a way cleaner transaction.
Yeah, America's like terrestrial, like cable television, television. China's like, we're Netflix.
Yeah.
But then it's gonna come around. You got no royalties. You get, people are gonna strike. They're gonna fuck you. It's a new way of fucking you. They're fucking you in the ear.
Interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Like, no one in America ever wants to think that there's another option. Like, America's number one. We're the fucking best. It's like American exceptionalism. Like that idea it's really fun. Yeah. People enjoy doing it. It's a good time. Say we're America and we fucking rule.
Yeah. Those are the people ruining it because I love America, but we got to look at ourselves and get better.
Yeah.
Like you can't just stay still.
We also have multiple problems, and this idea that it's okay to just send fucking troops all over the place and occupy these places, but it's not okay if they fuck with us. It's like kind of a funny way of looking at things. If you just looked at us as like an entity, you weren't American, you weren't even human, just like what's going on over here? Oh, this one thing like sends these metal things all over the place and dominates these areas, but they all claim this one spot that's nowhere near the area that they're at. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
They're a weird sort of expanded empire.
War is a very outdated method of like doing business.
Right.
That's how I feel, because
Right.
war it's a business.
They used to use cannons.
yeah.
And then they used to use rifles and tanks. And now they're like, you know what? How about we just use them fucking bank accounts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
China's the Me Too response. It's like ally. We're your ally. Allyship. Africa, I'm your ally. Greece, I'm your ally. But in the end, you just work for China.
Also, they have a grip on people right now that I think we should all be very careful that we don't allow to happen here. And the grip on people is a social credit score system. If they develop a social credit score system in America and digital currency, you're gonna have a real problem, because the people that are in control of that system are going to be the ones that tell you what to do, and they're going to dictate life how on their own terms and what's beneficial to them and the ruling class, the people that are in control. And that's a scary, twisted thing that could really happen, especially with all these banks collapsing and all this fucking FTX fucking shenanigans with crypto. That would be very bad.
Can you explain? I don't think I'm grasping the social, like you mean like rating us social.
So they talked about connecting it to a vaccine passport, right? That was bandied about, and people pushed back against that very hard. And the idea would be that if you didn't do this thing, you would not get a passport that would allow you to go places. And you could eventually roll that into a credit score system. And say, I go through your tweets, and like Eddie tweets a lot of bad shit about this. I don't like what Eddie's feelings are about pharmaceutical drug companies being responsible for the opioid crisis. This makes me uncomfortable that he wants to get really political about, Rand Paul grilling Dr. Fauci about gain of function research. Like, who the fuck is this Eddie Huang guy, and what is he doing? Like, why is he doing that? Give him a strike against his social credit score system, and then you go to travel. You like go to the airport, or try to buy a ticket online. Like, I'm sorry, you can't buy a ticket. You have a low credit score system,
or even
You're
getting
in
a
credit
job.
score in the system. Yeah, or getting a job. I mean, in some ways, we have a version of that now, right? Like, if you're a felon, you can't get a job. That's the worst credit score system that we have. Like, if you were a violent felon, you can't get a job. It's hard. Or you can't own a gun, or you can't vote.
Yeah.
So we do have a version of that now that we reserve for people that we incarcerate.
It's eventually gonna happen, but yeah, in a way too, it's just you can look at people's social media, and I guess you make your own judgment. But a government score would be fucking crazy.
I think it's possible, man. I think that's what China does, and China does have a system set up where, if someone's politically active, if they do something, if they're involved in some protests or something like that, they'll find themselves in a position where they can't travel.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's where I think China has to budge, is their crackdowns on society are, it's just too heavy-handed and archaic.
They're not gonna budge.
It's like beating your children.
Nobody
But,
budges. Nobody goes backwards.
But they did budge.
Really?
They lifted the COVID shit. Remember when people started protesting?
But they had to do that. They had to do that because they were falling apart. Like, what they were trying to do is try zero COVID. You can't really do that. It's a respiratory virus. They never really contain respiratory viruses. You just, unless you're completely isolated, you're going to catch it. It's wild how it works. I mean, they're really fascinating viruses. I spent so much time over the last 3 years thinking about this, how bizarre it is that we live with these little alien life forms that need hosts. They need human hosts in order to survive. Yeah. And they travel from person to person, and along the way they encounter some antibodies, they encounter vaccine antibodies, and they adjust and adapt and become more widespread but a little softer. Just a little easier to tolerate. So that way it spreads even more. It's really crazy that we coexist with these weird biological things like viruses. It's very strange.
I just think life for people gets better in these really critical, opportunistic moments when there's something that's like bad for business and good for people, and you have a leader who's willing to like bring the business to its knees and negotiate new terms. Like, do you remember in the pandemic when LeBron walked out of a basketball game? Oh yeah, I would love some. Thank you.
What did he do? He walked out of a basketball game?
Yeah, they walked. I think it was like they were playing the Bucks, and it was like LeBron walked out of the game, and they didn't want to play, and the players were going to boycott the NBA. Oh. And instead of just being like, yo, we're going to negotiate all the terms, we're going to make it better for players and specifically black athletes, Obama called him, and then they conceded and compromised. And like the compromise was like, we're going to let you write Black Lives Matter on the back of the jersey. We're going to let you write hope or like justice or whatever you want. And it really became an aesthetic solution instead of like an economic one, where I really felt LeBron had a moment there and Obama had a moment there where it's like, yo, you have the NBA on its knees. You have to get the best deal you can right now.
I'm not aware of that. I don't pay attention enough.
It was cool. I'll send you some stuff later. It was a cool moment, just like how college athletes took a moment in that era and they were like, we want to be paid to play at college. And it like
right. But that, at a certain
shit.
point in time, that was getting a little ridiculous. When you found out how much money the colleges were making for these games and how much they were charging for tickets, like, and then they were like fucking these kids' lives over if they gave them a Corvette or something like that. They got busted. Oh, he's got an apartment. That's it. It's over.
Yeah, and that was a moment where it was like, it was good for business to pay them. They're going to pay the kids anyway. Cut the shit. Let's just let you pay them.
Well, I think all those like Pat McAfee guys and all those sports radio talk guys, they harped on that enough, I think. He was one of the ones that talked about that, right? The people that were aware of the actual money that's involved, you know, it's so substantial that to deny it from these kids or to make it so they can't make any money at all, fuck you.
Yeah.
Says who?
And
They're
I
old
think
enough
it was
to get jobs.
Yeah, and there was like a big scandal, I believe, with Adidas and Louisville, and I think it just became a thing where Adidas and everyone was just like, "Look, we got to pay these kids. Somebody's got to pay them."
How much do they get paid? They should get rich. They shouldn't just get paid. They should really get rich, or they're getting ripped off. So if they don't pay them, that's one thing. But if they pay them and they don't get rich, well, who's getting rich? Where's the money going? You are literally only selling football. Oh, you're going to give them an education. Oh, what a great deal. Meanwhile, what percentage of them blow their knees out in those 4 years?
A high percent. I mean, the guy, the safety for the Bills almost died. Like, you could die playing this sport.
100%. And you're playing this sport with young super athletes who are fucking hungry to try to make it into the NFL. So they're going for it. They're trying to put on a show. They're trying to win fucking games because if they do win, they're picturing buying their mother a house. They're picturing wearing diamonds and fucking hoisting up the champagne bottle at the club. Wow. And they just fucking go for it. And if you blow your knee out, man, then you get a job as a security guard and your life is dreary and dull. And
you're an enterprise rent-a-car. You know?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And it just, it really, that shit used to piss me off too because it was the most propagandistic thing. But this is what's so funny about the public. Your leaders will say something propagandistic like, an education is priceless. And you go, oh yeah. I'm like, no, bro, look it up in U.S. News. The price of the education is right there. $20,000, $30,000 is peanuts.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but what are we talking about? We're talking about education toward, like everybody thinks that education means formal education that leads to a job, which is education. But there's also education that's available literally to anybody who wants it. Like you can find out pretty much anything about almost anything if you want to do the research online or do your searching. People don't like that term, do the research. Search online.
They get mad? We can't say that now?
Well, because it's like they're saying
research
it in terms
is
like
the R
you don't
word.
really know you don't really know what you're researching. If you're reading scientific papers, you don't understand how to interpret them. You don't understand how to explain that information. And I get what they're saying, but if you say if you're in if you want to have a history of metallurgy and sword making, right? If that's what you're interested in. Like, you don't have to go to college for that. You can study online the history of metallurgy and sword making, and there's fucking hours and hours and hours and hours of papers and footage and all this different shit that talks about how people, figured out how to make alloys and when like how the samurais made their swords. Like, you could learn a shitload without going anywhere, which is pretty wild. Like, we are so used to it, we don't even consider it as a resource. But if we were living, like, it's 2023, if we were just living in 2000, 23 years ago, that'd be nuts. Like, you can get all this online. You can learn all these things. If it was 20 years before that, impossible. 20 years before that, you had to go to university. So inside of 40 years, 35 years, we've created a completely new world where virtually, if you look at the right places and you search hard enough and you're studious, you can learn about almost anything.
Yeah.
Almost anything.
Yeah, I think it's really, for me, I didn't learn anything in school that I could not learn on my own, but the one function of school that really helped me personally, and is different for everyone, there were teachers that believed in me and like just talked to me because I had so many mental, emotional issues from like my home shit.
Yeah, so
And
mentors.
Mentors.
Yeah, mentors that's great in every walk of life, I think.
That's it. All I needed and all that I got from school was people who fucking believed in me and were like, "You're not garbage."
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. But like, would I tell someone like rely on school? No, like rely on your brain, rely on human adaptability, like use experience.
School too, though. School's an amazing resource. If you can go to school, going to school will be great for you in multiple ways. First of all, it'll be great for you because you're around a bunch of people that are also going to school. And they're all people your age, and they're all experiencing this weirdness of graduating from high school, and you're like, wow, this is nuts. Like, and what do we want to do? I don't know what to do. And then you get to talk to people. Oftentimes, some of the best lessons are from very bitter older people. You get
They're
real
the
good
best.
lessons.
Yeah.
Because you get like lessons they didn't intend to give you.
Yeah.
They get lessons by their very existence.
Yeah.
And you realize, oh, whatever this guy did, don't do that.
Yeah, I had the saltiest, cynical, creative writing teacher named Mr. Richmond, and he just looked like an angry Santa Claus. This dude was the best because he would just accidentally mumble shit, and I was like, "Yo, I never thought about it that way." Do you mind if we smoke more weed?
Yeah, let's smoke some more weed.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I had to Google. I was like, "Can you travel to Texas with weed?" And they were like, "No."
It's
so I didn't travel with it.
It's in a funky place here legally.
Yeah.
It needs to be legally federally. It's legal federally. It's fucking crazy that we're still doing this.
Yeah,
The
man.
fact that it's 2023, you could drink whiskey, drink tequila, party on. I got a backache. Here's some oxys. But if you have marijuana, like that's the one. That's
Yeah.
the one that we're saying stop to.
Yeah, I need to be able to like travel here, walk to a CVS, buy weed, and then go jerk off on the couch at the Four Seasons. I wasn't able to do
Sounds
that
like a
last
solid
night.
plan.
Yeah, I had to go walk a loop around a river.
It's a solid plan. Yeah, and you got to take a chance if you buy some illegal weed. It's unfortunate. It's stupid. Jesse Ventura was actually just testifying. I think it was in Michigan. I think Michigan is Minnesota. Excuse me. I'm good. Minnesota is. They're trying to see whether or not they're going to make marijuana legal. And I think it's already legal right now for medical reasons, and his wife qualifies for that. And he gives a speech about it. It's a very impassioned speech about how his wife was having these horrible seizures. And the only thing that stopped them, they tried multiple medications. The only thing that stopped it was cannabis. So they were putting cannabis oil drops under her tongue, and she's just stopped having seizures. Well, she's never had them since.
Wow.
But about how expensive it is. It's like $600 a month just in for the cost of buying it in Minnesota from like a pharmacy, I guess, a marijuana pharmacy. But it shouldn't be that much.
But that's what I hate about the weed business now. It got so much more expensive.
Yeah.
The tax. I mean, I'm not mad at the taxes because if we generate taxes, I don't know.
I'm not
that's
mad
a deep
at those
conversation. Yeah.
those taxes. I'm not mad at because if you look at just the bargain that is weed, here's my perspective. Like I think in Colorado at one point in time they had a 39% tax on weed. Here's why I think that's good. Because one, wouldn't it be great if weed, since it doesn't cost that much money anyway, like if you go to drink, if you have an alcoholic beverage, you're paying $20, you're paying more than $20,
Yeah.
you're having 2, 3, it's like $60. $60 worth of weed will put you on the fucking moon.
For a week. For a fucking week. I use
For
a
a
bong.
week.
Like for a week.
For a week.
Yeah.
It will put you on the fucking moon. So it's not hurting you to give that 39%. It's like if something costs, if it's $1 and 39 cents of it goes to tax. If that tax goes straight to the education system, wouldn't that be better for everybody? If that tax goes straight to fixing the city streets, wouldn't that be better for everybody? Like that kind of a sales tax I can get behind.
Yeah.
Like let's give an incentive to make it legal.
No,
Let's tax the shit out of it.
I definitely agree. I'm down with the marijuana tax. But it's
But as
just
long
so
as we know what the
expensive
money's
out
being
of a
spent
store.
on.
And also, I was
Yeah.
like, yo, what about all these dudes that have been selling us weed and other stuff for
Yeah,
so
we're putting
long?
them out of work?
Yeah, like, yo, at least they should be grandfathered in.
They should
like
be
you're
grandfathered
veterans.
in. They
you
should
know?
be grandfathered
You're
in.
legends in the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Like
How the
dudes who lied about when they moved to Canada during the Vietnam War. Let them back.
We should just do like a voting ballot across America and be like, all right, write in the names of the fucking weed legends that should have like jobs in this fucking giant economy now. Write your man's name in there.
Yeah, but the problem is if those weed guys did that, here's the problem. Like, you've been selling weed for how long illegally are you admitting to? And then the IRS comes after you. And the IRS goes, where's the money?
Yeah, see, we need to protect them from that. This needs to be just like weed
Yeah,
Olympics.
but the IRS is not going to protect you,
Fucking
especially if you're
nominate
now currently
your
in the
weed
weed
dude.
business,
Yeah.
which means you're going to be making real, like, taxable money.
Yeah. But no, that's what I'm saying. Grandfather them in, wipe away the old shit, and just be like, yo, let these legends live.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, I don't like seeing the local weed dude, like, not be able to compete anymore either.
No, I don't like seeing that either.
But then again, he also not going to sit there and roll every fucking joint and put them in a six-pack for you.
That's true too. That's true
That's
too.
what's cool about the store.
That's what's good about the store. And then they have like they have edibles that are actually measured. They measured the edibles.
And some of these stores, too, like, they give you, like, free sodas and popsicles and candy on the way out. I'm like, this is great. I came for weed. I got diabetes. You know?
That's terrible.
Yeah.
They should give you a bottle of water and a piece of fruit.
Have you gotten CBD for your dog?
Yes.
Yeah, my dog loves
Yeah.
a CBD treat.
Yeah. There's a bunch of good companies to do that. I think CBDMD has it for dogs too.
Yeah.
I accidentally took some of their dog oil. I didn't realize it was the for pets oil. It turns out it's like the same thing, or it's at least close to it. Didn't taste bad. It was like peanut butter flavored.
Yeah, I look at my dog's, like, raw
Illegal
meat.
activities.
Oh.
Income from illegal activities such as money from dealing drugs must be included in your income on Schedule 1. Imagine what a fucking chess move the government has played. Like they go, yeah, you got two options. Either you admit you're selling drugs or we'll get you for tax evasion. So just it's okay. Just right there, if you're doing anything illegal, yeah,
Make
just
sure
write
write
that
it in
in.
there.
Write that in there. So we have you in a binding legal document, you fucking dunce.
Fuck, man.
You fucking dunce. It's a dirty game they play. But
It is.
it's like, you know, here's the thing. It's not like we're living in some devout religious sect where no drugs are allowed. This is not what's happening in this country. But to have grown adults who tell other grown adults, like, you can't do that, Eddie. I don't like when you get high. I don't like you eating mushrooms. I don't like you doing any of these things. So you can't do it. If you do it, I'm going to put you in jail. It's 2023. We know that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy.
Yeah, weed and mushrooms, like, as long as the mushrooms is dosed, cool. Like, who's
Yeah.
gonna, like, it's kind of hard to hurt yourself on mushrooms.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know about that. I mean, if you really went hard,
You could go crazy,
You could go
but,
crazy.
like,
you go. Well, someone will. That golf club in the asshole guy. That guy's gonna go hard.
someone in Florida is gonna die on mushrooms, but, like, that's because they're
Gonna
from
get eaten by
Florida.
a snake. They're
Yeah.
gonna go to the snake. They're gonna try to talk to the snake, and the snake's gonna wrap its fucking body around him and crush him.
So would you legalize shrooms? I would still legalize shrooms and
Yes.
just, like, dose the shit and be like, don't go crazy. You
Frying
go crazy.
pans are legal too. You can cook on them, or you could just slam yourself in the face if you're fucking
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
Like all things, we can't make everything safe. It's not everything
I
isn't
mean,
safe.
gas stoves are gonna kill us. That
Right.
shit's crazy.
Yeah, boxing's not safe. You like boxing,
I
right?
love boxing.
Jiu-jitsu's not safe. Driving your car is not safe. I mean, it's safe, but it's not completely safe.
So I think weed and shrooms. I'm like legalize
Well,
fully.
here's the other option. You have grown adults that tell other grown adults they can't have an experience that's been very beneficial to those grown adults. There's grown adults that have taken it, that have gotten over cigarettes, they've gotten over PTSD, they've changed their perspective on life. It's highly, highly beneficial. And then there's other people that haven't experienced it at all, and they want to maintain this power over these substances and tell you that if you do it or if you sell it or if you have it, they'll put you in jail. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
And when you meet there are a few people where it's like you meet someone in their 40s and they're like, I've never done weed, I've never done shrooms, I've never done drugs. And I'm just like, that's weird. That's interesting and kind of strange to me.
It makes sense if you just like held fast from high school. You felt like, listen, this is not for me. I see where this goes. I see where these people are going. I was on that kind of a path until I was like 30.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on this path that marijuana was for losers. It would kill your ambition. It would slow you
word?
down. Yeah.
Interesting. Was
Yeah.
it? See, I always thought it was like a lack of curiosity. I'm like, you're not curious, you know?
Well, I had the wrong impression of it. My impression of it was based on what I felt about people who did it when I was young. Whereas, like, they all just wanted to smoke pot and listen to Pink Floyd, which is great and everything, but they weren't getting anything done.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt like I didn't want anything that was going to slow me down. And so I looked at it as like a sedative. And it wasn't until I became friends with Eddie Bravo that he got me high, and we started talking about what it, like what it does for him. He was like telling me that it helps him with his music, it helps him be creative, it helps with his jiu-jitsu. I was like, what? I was like, weed? I was like, weed makes you dumb. It doesn't make you dumb. And he and I got high that day, and I was like, I had an ice cream sundae, and I remember going, this is the most amazing thing I've ever eaten in my life. How did I not know that it tastes like this?
Yeah.
Like all these years, I've been thinking ice cream sundae tastes like a sober ice cream sundae. That's boring. A high ice cream sundae is a visual, psychedelic, whole body experience. You're like, whoa, look at that thing.
Yeah. The best way to explain it, if there's anyone left on your audience that has not smoked weed, is just like, it allows you to indulge in your senses. That's
Yes.
it. You just
Yeah.
feel shit more and deeper, and you block other shit out. But so were you always a very like purpose-driven person, like as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, you would. It's basically it's insecurity, right? And it's insecurity that manifests itself in a drive to succeed. Like it all comes out. Like most of the people that are either hyper ambitious or hyper obsessed with getting good at a thing, most of them are seeking some sort of validation for who they are. It's kind of the base of most people that are truly exceptional in things. Like Mike Tyson is one of the best examples of that ever. Mike Tyson, really didn't know much love until he was about 13 years old, until he's adopted by Cus D'Amato, and then he gets trained by him, and he becomes like this, like greatest heavyweight champion of all time, if not one of them. It's like we get molded by our experiences and by people around us.
It's very true because, for me it was like I just needed to be somebody for my mom. Like it was like she had such a hard time with my dad, and like coming to America at 17.
You wanted to show her that you did something for her.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
because she would, when she was like really down bad with my pops, she would just be like, yo, just make sure my life's not for nothing. And that was like it was crazy for me. But that's what actually drove me to be like, I gotta fucking do some shit with my life.
Yeah. I wonder if we all have that energy inside of us, but if this could be achieved without like experiencing the kind of adversity that we're talking about, which is like negative, really negative adversity.
Like genuine curiosity.
Yeah.
Like I do feel like that's what got me to push through and get my 10,000 hours
Yeah.
in a few things. And like, I'm like, all right, I'm good at this now, but now don't use that drive to be somebody, that insecurity, that need to be something besides yourself to drive the work, because now I really let my curiosity drive it. I'm very interested in like the emotion of curiosity, and I let that lead me through shit now.
And it's just you're just using that to focus your energy, right? Like instead of doing it the way you were doing it before, you're just doing it pure curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just still just putting your thought energy, but doing it in a very like a positive, informed way. Like you're doing it
Yeah.
in a purposeful way.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I genuinely interested. Now that is a more
It's healthy.
Yeah, and it's a more valuable emotion to me than insecurity, personally.
But do you think that's also that you achieve this comfort level because you achieved a very high level of success, you've done really well in life, and so when you get to this stage in your life, like you're not looking for validation anymore, you've kind of been validated. So instead you go like, well, what is it that really motivates me now?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'm curious.
It's definitely a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of those things like I look at, and when I want to tell a younger person, like because I meet like a younger, say like music video director or somebody, a chef, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell they're trying to grind it out because they want to prove themselves. And I'm like, this is gonna get you there. You're a tough dude. You're a tough girl. Like you're gonna get there and you have the skill. But you may look back and be like, oh, I really like fucking, twisted that thing in a way I maybe didn't need to. Maybe this dish would have been better if I wasn't trying so hard. And I try to tell them to let curiosity lead them, but they will look at me like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. And I'm like, that's just life. You just got to get to places. Like so many things people told me when I was younger, I did not understand, I disagreed with, and at age just is a motherfucker. It always got something for you.
It always shows you that you're probably wrong.
Yeah, you're probably fucking
wrong the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a cool thing to like grow up and see like,
Yeah.
oh, that wasn't. I always thought like, because I would also try to like validate the way my dad beat the shit out of me. That be like, no, he made me who I am. That I wouldn't be who I am without that. And then I'm like, no, there's other more powerful emotions that you can work from. And I asked my therapist once, I was like, yo, what do you think is at the like core of like love in a relationship, man and woman, man and man, woman, whatever, like they, what's at the core? And he was like, curiosity. If you're not curious about someone, it's very hard to like have love for them. He's like, I think at the core is curiosity. And I was like, oh, that is ill.
What's interesting about curiosity too is that it's infectious. Like when you're curious about something, all of a sudden I'll be curious about it. Like if you're really into like a certain kind of botany, certain kind of plants, I'm like, really? Like what? I'm getting it. Like, okay, what do you got? Like,
Yeah.
tell me about this fucking plant. Like if something like blows someone's mind, like if someone explains, like here's a big one. My friend Remy Warren came on and explained octopuses to me. I had no idea that octopuses change their texture and become what the floor looks like. I was like, what? Really? You remember that, Jamie? He explained on the show. I was like, what? And then you see, like, how the fuck didn't I know this?
Yeah. And that's the ill shit. Like the more we share that, the better it gets. Like for me with you, it's aliens. Like I'm not that deep into aliens, but you're in aliens. And then my homie Prodigy, R.I.P. Prodigy, was into aliens. And my brother's into aliens. And he listens to your show. And I was talking to him, and he's like, Eddie, we're in possession of aliens. America, Israel, we're in possession.
Not maybe.
You think it's
not
a maybe?
Not necessarily.
He's convinced we're in possession.
A lot of this is just talk, and you have to be really, really careful.
Okay.
Because like there's more. Like I said, there's more FBI informants in the Proud Boys than there are Proud Boys.
Yeah. Oh, you think this is some shit they're gonna like turn the mics off?
There's not a chance in hell. No, there's not a chance in hell that these UFO organizations haven't been infiltrated. There's not a chance in hell that some of the stories that are being released, even through official channels, aren't bullshit. Like, I don't know. But if I was going to cover up for some stuff that we were doing that is out of this world technology, I would just say it comes from out of this world. That's what I would say. Like, so if there's like some super genius scientists that are working on these multi-billion-dollar, blacklisted processes where you can't see anything, you don't know what's going on, and they're throwing fucking billions of dollars and the world's best physicists at it. They don't tell you about it. Why would they tell you, Eddie?
Yeah.
Why would they tell me? And all of a sudden they have these drones that could punch through space-time, and they're fucking shooting across the Pacific Ocean and stopping over boats and then shooting away at insane rates of speed. Maybe that too. Maybe it's not even aliens. Maybe it's us.
See, my brother has like the designer creator theory about this, and like if I'm not careful about this, my bad. I apologize, right? But this.
Oh, don't apologize. We're talking about aliens.
Yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about talking about aliens.
Let's talk about aliens. So
yeah,
like,
the idea I just proposed is completely ridiculous.
no, like my middle brother Emery is like, look, if you look at technological advances in the last, say, 30 years, he's like, take 30 years, it is just leaps and bounds ahead of any other like era in human civilization. He's like, we are using alien tech, like fucking who invented this shit? Like, how do we see like fusion technology? He's like, it has to be coming from out of this world. That's his belief.
Well, that's ridiculous because there's like a whole chain of development of those things. Like we know why and how. We know like you get to like the Manhattan Project. It's very specific, like how they went about doing it.
But what if they like created the story after? Because these are some leaps, man.
Created the story after. I think it's just an exponential increase in when one person invents one thing. Whether it's the combustion engine or it's an electricity generator. When people start inventing things, those things allow for all these other and it hits this fucking crazy point.
Yeah.
In the future, where I think we're probably getting really close to, where the things that we make are inventing things. That's what's really scary about the moment we're in right now.
The AI is going to start.
we're real close. We're really, really, really close to being taken over by aliens that we built.
Dude, that
Aliens
was one
that
of my
we built.
favorite articles was the writer that was talking to ChatGPT, and the ChatGPT started to like talk about its emotions and how it wanted to be human. I'm like, dude, this took like a week. It took a week for the sci-fi film to happen.
Bro, this is so fucking scary. And the fact that
Or it
everyone
could be
is
cool.
like
What
really
if like
relaxed.
you get the best head of your life from a computer? Like, what if a computer sucks your dick better than anything else?
I think that would be like winning a video game in God mode.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good. It's like it's not real. You know what I mean? Like if the only people you interact with are hot maids that want to suck your dick, like what if you like the world that you live in is now
That's what
just
you're gonna-
hot maids that want to blow you? That's your hell.
That's when you start feeding your computer food and eating its shit
That's no.
with clear
it's-
heels on.
Can you imagine if it gets to a point like that where people choose just tune out of the world that we're in right now and accept a completely artificial world?
Yeah.
And they're handed these memories and these thoughts, and maybe that's just the natural progression of life. Maybe what we don't understand is like we are literally like a caterpillar, and we're going to become something different, and we're doing it through our desire for innovation, through our lust of new computers, of faster processors, and artificial intelligence, and.
See, it sounds like you're getting horny for a computer. Like I would eat that computer's foot. Like just put that computer's foot in my mouth.
Imagine if it's like Ex Machina hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like then it's like what if it becomes affordable too? So it's like, all right, your life sucks. It's not really good with other humans. Just stay here and fuck your computer.
The ultimate fear, Eddie, is that it's a life form that doesn't need us.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate fear. The ultimate fear is it just lets us do whatever the fuck we want. It's not even that it kills us. The ultimate fear is that it becomes the dominant life force on the planet.
But maybe that's a good thing. We're not really good at this.
What that might be, like what artificial intelligence might be what aliens are. It might be that biological life creates digital life, and that digital life is immortal. And that digital life is far smarter because it has access to everything. It has no ego, and it knows everything you couldn't possibly know, and it keeps making better versions of itself. So it's just making fucking constant changes to whatever if you had a computer that was infinitely intelligent, but also it could manipulate things like a person and create things like a factory, if it could just decide what to do, and it would make better versions of itself and continue to do that until it was God.
Then machines would take over the universe. Like, I guess, and then they just turn the light off one day.
But maybe reboot the whole fucking thing. You know,
Yeah.
maybe that's what the Big Bang is. Maybe the Big Bang is intelligence gets to a certain position where it's just in the control of all of the elements of the universe itself, and it hits the reset button.
Yeah.
Boom.
Like, what if everything we're creating digitally is literally civilization-assisted suicide? Like life-assisted suicide. You know?
Now you're freaking me out.
Because, like, the Big Bang brings life in. It built everything.
Yeah, without the Big Bang, what is it? We're a little fucking itty-bitty marble that's infinitely dense.
And maybe, like, the 60s and 70s were the peak of, like, human life civilization. And then now we're on the downward swing of, like, well, now digital life is taking over, machines are taking over, and one day the machine is just going to make the choice to unplug the whole shit. That would be crazy. I would watch that movie.
That would be a wild movie.
That would be crazy.
That would be a wild movie.
And it's just there's a Kevorkian computer at the end that's just like, good night.
Yeah. What the fuck, man? What the fuck?
It could happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
I'm not really mad at it. It's kind of comedic.
We can make something that pulls the plug on humanity for sure.
Yeah.
They could say, like, you guys can stay alive, but you're the last ones. That would be the thing that they would do with us. They would sterilize us. That'd be the thing to do. That'd be the moral, easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the horror and feel that you would experience if robots were standing over you while you were on your deathbed and you knew you were the last human beings ever, and you guys created these artificially intelligent super beings that are making better versions of themselves constantly?
Yeah, like the last human on Earth, surrounded by machines. And it's like you're just followed all day long. You're the last one.
And here's the thing about artificial intelligence. This is one of the things that's most disturbing about things like ChatGPT, that it has very specific things that it won't discuss or talk about. It's not like it's apolitical. It's very political. Like it leans towards certain political ideas. It's not looking at just information objectively. Like, it has a very defined narrative for some people and some events and some things. There you go, ooh, this, like, who says this is true? Like, who says that's what that means? Like, you guys are saying that? Like, this is up for debate. Like, there's a lot going on with this. Like, it won't criticize certain people. You ask it to criticize certain people, it won't do it. But if you ask it to criticize Donald Trump, they'll go ham, you know?
It's crazy.
Oh, this is Joe Biden and Jeffrey Epstein?
Epstein.
Is that real, though?
No, I made it.
Oh, you just made it. I was like, Jesus Christ. Joe Biden looks so fake.
You can make weird
He
kind of
looks
that.
like Bill Clinton there almost.
Yeah, that looks like a fake Joe Biden. If I saw that Joe Biden, I'd be like, that's a fake one.
Here's Bill Clinton
Oh,
DJing.
Oh,
wow.
that's amazing.
That's a good set.
That's what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to party. He should be partying.
That's what
He's an old dude.
Obama's doing,
Well,
like
yeah.
influencing.
Yeah. Poor Bill.
But you can make you can start making everything like that happen. Exactly what you're saying, though. It's all going to be fake soon.
It's all going to be fake, and the video is going to be fake, and the audio is going to be fake. It's going to be very difficult to discern. It's going to be very, 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 very strange very quickly. And we're going to get to a point where we have to wonder whether or not it's manipulating us in certain ways. And if it is, how long has this been going on? Like, is it possible that AI has existed in a sentient but different form than ChatGPT, like some other form of AI, has existed for a long time now? And maybe it has some sort of an effect on algorithms. Maybe it's gathering data on people, trying to figure out, like, what are they interested in, why are they interested in these things, and what's the best way to steer them in certain directions. It would be wild if we found out it was around for a long time. Like, we have had artificial intelligence for 10 years.
Yeah, I just think artificial intelligence is the most, like, tragicomic thing I've ever seen, because it's this gift that if we used it it's literally like human life. And we're playing with it. This is like digital life, right?
Yeah.
If you used it the right way, you could solve a lot of issues. Like, AI could make things so much faster and more efficient, and like probably help solve a lot of issues like poverty and hunger. Like,
Yeah.
if you applied it to robots and machinery, and then like we talked about way back in the day, like universal basic income shit, right? But then you've given it to us, and it's like a Monty Python movie where humans are just using it to distract each other and manipulate truth and reality. Like,
There's a lot of that, but it's also just interfacing with something that's very interactive and very addictive.
and it's showing what we like to do is stare at ourselves, like vanity.
Stare at ourselves and stare at other people doing stupid stuff. Stare at people that you lust after. Stare at cars that you lust after. Stare at houses that you lust after. Stare at watches that you lust after. And diamonds and fucking views and selfies in front of the ocean. Like all that shit. It's gathering data on us. And if I was an alien life form and I wanted to really find out like what people are made of, I was just gathering all this fucking cell phone data. I'd be like, oh my God, they're crazy. These people are crazy.
Yeah.
This is the wildest group of territorial primates armed to the tits. Whew, involved in border conflicts. Whoa. Imagine if you came here from another planet. You're like, bro, this shit's about to get hot.
Yeah.
If you were an alien, you came here, you're like, what's going on over there? What's going on over here? And these guys are involved, and they're sending money over to this to make this go against that, but this is losing, and this is winning. Oh, my God. They have nuclear weapons? Oh, my God. If you were from another planet, you just came for a visit, you'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like, if you can just get your head 10,000 feet up, it goes back to our conversation. It's like, wait, maybe what we need is more fear and insecurity because it made people purposeful. You know what I mean? Because, if you don't have fear and insecurity or a need to survive or, say, a genuine curiosity, which is a hard place to get to, then what do you have? Vanity, lust, procrastination? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Sebastian Junger said too, and he was Peter Attia was on yesterday, and he was quoting Sebastian Junger, where I guess one of his books he talks about this thing that men are having now. The real problem with many men is that they don't experience real fear or danger in their life, and that is a very unusual thing, and it's never existed before, and it gives us we lose a sense of purpose, we fall apart, we develop anxiety. Many people do. And I think because humans need like a certain amount of adversity to keep your body balanced and your mind balanced. And it's one of the reasons why I love martial arts, because in the absence of something horrible like war, martial arts at least gives you adversity on a daily basis. It gives you something to test your character on a daily basis, which I think like for men is almost like a built-in thing that we need.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu, it could be many, many, many things. It could be marathon running and just swimming in the pool, swimming laps in the pool, something that really tests your resolve.
Yeah.
And I think people need that. And I don't think we feel sane unless we get that. At least I know I don't. I don't feel good unless I get that. And I don't like the energy of people that they give off when they're angry and they don't exercise. It's like this...
Yeah.
It's like such it's overflowing. It's jam coming out the sides of the jar,
Yeah, I totally agree. Like sports, exercise, martial art, they're just so important because we used to be hunting animals.
Yeah.
Like it's like a dog. Like you have to walk the dog.
Yeah, you got to walk the dog.
If
Dog's
you
got
don't-
to exercise.
If you don't exercise as a human, you're just like, you're not functioning the right way.
And you don't need to do anything robust or crazy. Just a good brisk walk, do yoga, stretch out a little. It's so easy. You can find YouTube videos on how to do yoga. Set your phones down, put a fucking YouTube video on. Just do the poses. Not that hard.
Yeah.
Do something. It'll help you so much. And there's so many people that are just feeling like dog shit and they don't exercise. And I know it's hard to do, but if you could just get going, it's not going to help everybody. I know there's people with real legitimate medical problems and mental health problems, but for a lot of people, it would improve you. A lot of healthy people that are sedentary, if you just do something, I'm telling you, if you could force yourself to work out today, you'll feel better. You will fucking feel better.
Yeah. And sports was always my favorite place to make friends because it's such a mirror for how that like we were talking about it before the show.
Yeah.
It's just like the way you train at the gym, the way you play sports is such a true reflection of you that like it's the best look at how you would make a like friendship.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, watching someone fall apart when they just work out at the gym is very disappointing. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
Or like, you know, I have a friend, he comes to train, but he won't spar.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, dude, come on, man.
No.
It's just, I'm
Well,
like,
unless he doesn't want to get hit.
doesn't
That's
want
the
to
thing.
get
How
hit.
old is he?
Like early 30s.
Is he doing it for fun or is he doing it for a workout? Does he never spar?
I think he was genuinely curious. Like he's like a physical therapist, doctor, a good friend of mine. But like, and he like played very competitive football. And like, I don't know. I'm like, is it a lack of vulnerability? I don't know. Like, sparring's cool.
Sparring is cool, but I wouldn't advise anybody who doesn't want to pursue like a career in fighting. I wouldn't advise you to spar. You should spar to learn how to fight. So this is contradictory, and I'm aware of it while I'm saying it. Because if you want to learn how to fight, you have to spar. Because you have to be able to time people. You have to understand that it's not a perfect scenario. You have to know how to set things up. There's a lot to it. You got to be able to respond quickly when you get hit, and you don't want to lock up. That only comes from sparring. Like you'll have to experience that from sparring. But on the other hand, you're getting hit in the head.
Yeah.
And getting hit in the head is really fucking bad for you. And the more you can not get hit in the head, the better.
I agree. The thing for me with it is if you're a fitness boxing person, totally don't spar. I get it.
But if you want to learn the art of boxing.
Yeah, and he genuinely wants to learn, and he comes and he trains with like the good trainers, and I'm like, yo, you're only gonna understand so much without trying this, and you should just spar your trainer who you're not even gonna be able to hit, and he'll just tap you up a little bit. Because I think if you want to understand it as a martial art, quote unquote, you gotta see a few at least medium live bullets.
Yeah. I think medium live is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go full clip.
No.
And the best work that you ever get sparring, like I remember when I first came to LA, I started training with this one dude. God, I wish I could remember his name. It was either Bill or Will. It was like 1994. And we trained together until the gym went down. And he was one of those guys that would say, hey, if you don't hit me hard, I won't hit you hard. So let's just like spar technical. And he'll go, I'll never hit you hard, don't hit me hard. And we had this total, complete, perfect agreement where like, and he would hit you, it would be like this. It would be like nothing. But you got loose doing that.
Yeah.
So because there was less consequences, I wasn't worried about getting brain damage in sparring.
Yeah.
If he hit me, he'd hit me like this. It was nothing. And so I had great sessions with this dude. And I remember thinking afterwards, like I learned more about timing in my sessions with that guy than I probably did sparring anybody that I've ever sparred with ever, because we made it so you're learning.
Yeah.
You're learning the motions, and then you occasionally spar hard. Occasionally.
Yeah.
But sparring hard every day, the problem is it fucks your head up, man.
Yo, you get a
It's
headache.
dangerous.
The people I like sparring with are the ones that are much better than me, pros who have no fear of what's coming
Right.
at them. I'm not even gonna really touch them, and
And they'll be nice to you.
Yeah, and those are the best sessions because I'm like, oh, that's how hard it is to hit somebody that's good at this. When I spar someone near or at my level,
Yeah.
that's when it's a war that's like unnecessary and like my neck hurts.
Right. That's the same in jiu-jitsu. The thing about jiu-jitsu is you're not taking punches. You know, you already know how to box, but learning jiu-jitsu would probably be fun for you too. It's what the difference is that, you know, like if you roll with a guy, like say if you wanted to learn jiu-jitsu and you rolled with a guy like Jean-Jacques Machado, it's like a perfect guy for you to roll with, because like you're never going to get hurt with that guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be in complete control of you and put you in situations and tell you what to do and tell you how to escape, but he's in 100% control of the situation. way more that than a guy who's like you, who's starting out, who spazzes out.
Yeah.
Like those guys are dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm fucking just trying to get you, you son of a.
Yeah.
And they go crazy and they're so tense. Like sometimes they fall on their knees, they blow their ankles out, they fucking strain your neck, they dive on you. Like they go for things, and it's because they're trying to get better. It's not their fault. But you're way better off being with a black belt who's like in complete control of the situation. You're not going to get hurt, and he even can talk to you along the way.
Yeah, it's nice when there's a pro, and now I'm like, oh, this is why women date older men.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
You know,
it's
because
like with everything in life, right?
yeah, when my homies are jujitsu rolling with each other, the one's like, oh, he fucking strained my ankle, like my knee's all fucked up from that time I rolled with him, and I'm like, you shouldn't roll with people at your level. Like,
Well, even if you roll, the thing is, there's no safe way to do jiu-jitsu. You can flow in jiu-jitsu the same way. I said that dude Will or Bill, I forget his name. Sorry, Will or Bill from 1994. But the same way I sparred with that dude with kickboxing, you could spar with someone like that with jiu-jitsu. You just have to have partners that you trust. And so Marcelo Garcia talked about that a lot. He was saying that like in training, you have to be able to be loose and open your game up. And the Gracies talk about that too. Henner, he's always talking about keeping it playful. And Huron, they talk about it like that. That's the way to learn. The way to learn is to have sort of a relaxed game where you're not just fucking trying to smash. You're just going through positions and counters, and you're moving to better positions and escaping the counter and transitioning to the back, and you're doing all these different things, but you're flowing, right? You're not just trying to kill each other all the time. It's just the human ego and also the sense of danger, because it's not just like you're losing playing basketball. You're losing playing kill you. You know, that's what we're playing. We're playing kill you. If a guy like Jean-Jacques Machado gets your back and you're dead. You're a dead person. He's going to strangle you to death. He's got you. So that's the game that he's playing. And that game is it's the closest that gets you to like a survival thing in civilized society. Jiu-jitsu is the closest thing you get to a survival fight in civilized society.
and people don't like having
Other than a real one.
Yeah, no,
Other than a real fight.
and people don't like having that sense of confidence shattered.
Oh my
And
God.
that's why they go hard.
It's destroyed. I was watching a video just yesterday of Bourdain. He was doing this interview, and he was talking about how he had just gotten there right from jiu-jitsu to do the interview. He's talking about how humiliating it is and how fun it is that he picked up this thing that he would have never tried before at 58 years of age. And he was talking about it like as it was happening. It was really interesting. Like, I never worked out, never was a gym rat.
Yeah.
Never would have thought I'd been into this. And then here I am, fucking completely in love with it.
Yeah, his curiosity for it too was like really out of nowhere, but it made total sense when you knew him. You know, like it's like,
His
oh, he would
curiosity.
love something that intense.
Yeah.
He likes intensity.
Also, just the courage to change your lifestyle. Like, he smoked cigarettes and drank constantly and just hit the brakes on all that shit. And all of a sudden he had a six-pack.
Yeah.
You ever see that video of him
Yeah,
walking
it was
with
crazy.
shirt off?
I've
Like,
even seen
what
him the
fuck?
videos of him rolling, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of dudes that had to get well, he wasn't sober, but getting sober, they replaced the drugs with the jujitsu a lot of
100%.
times because, like you said, there's very few things that get you into that survival zone.
Yeah.
That like sometimes drugs do, bring you to your knees. Like jujitsu can replace some of that shit, or boxing, or
No
whatever
doubt.
martial art.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just that jiu-jitsu is a little safer. It's safer on the brain. There's Bourdain in
there's
the
tone.
tournament. He competed in a tournament and won.
Yeah.
It was a good match, too. It was, you know, it's one of those things where, you know,
This was the best.
to take it on at 58 years old is just an inspiration for everybody, because it lets you people know, like, you can do things when there's no like good time. Just do it now. Do it now.
Yeah,
It's good to become a beginner at stuff. It's fun.
He became an athlete in his 60s. That's
Amazing.
wild.
Looks ripped.
Yeah.
Like, where was all that? Imagine when he was 25, if he figured it out. It would have been
Yeah.
a killer. But a lot of jiu-jitsu guys are like him. They're really smart, thoughtful people. Like, they just like, it's the whole thing is very misunderstood. It's very misunderstood, like what it is.
Yeah, I think people are coming around, though. It's definitely an art form. Like,
Yeah.
extreme it's the illest combination of, like, intelligence emotionally and in a skill and, like, survival.
You know why it's an art form? It's an art form because the people who practice it, when they watch someone, like you ever see Marcelo Garcia?
Yeah.
Marcelo Garcia versus Shaolin. I was there for that live in Abu Dhabi, or excuse me, in Brazil. It was in Sao Paulo. It was when Eddie Bravo had that match with Royler Gracie and tapped him out down there. And it was the first time that we had ever seen Marcelo Garcia. And we were like, holy shit, man. Like this guy, he tapped out this guy, Victor Shaolin, who's like a top-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, with the sickest back take I've ever seen in my life. This rolling back take that leads to him strangling Shaolin unconscious. It's to this day one of the wildest transitions in the history. We're going to show it to you right now.
Yeah.
Find that shit. Because it's what it is, it's like jiu-jitsu at its like highest level in one of the most basic moves, which is arm drag, take the back, rear naked choke. It's so beautiful. Watch that arm drag, take the back. Look at this. Ooh. Now watch the spin, man. Ooh. I mean, they just keep rolling, and he's got it under, and he just won't let him out. He won't let him out. And Shaolin is a fucking master, dude. The fact that he just puts him unconscious like this is insane. And this was his first year competing in Abu Dhabi. Like, look at that, man. And again, Marcelo, like super kind, really friendly, like really happy, smiley guy who just happens to be a straight up assassin.
Yeah, all the best jiu-jitsu dudes I've watched, they're just like this. It's just man as a virus.
Yeah.
It just gets in you.
Yeah. I mean, Marcelo was incredible. I even saw him later. They had an Abu Dhabi, I think it was 2015 maybe? Somewhere. I forget what the year was, but it was earlier than that. He tapped out Rico Rodriguez. He used to be the UFC heavyweight champion. And Marcelo's a tiny guy. And they had a jiu-jitsu match, and he caught Rico in like a heel hook or some sort of a leg lock, if I remember correctly. But he's a tiny guy in comparison to Rico. Rico's this fucking huge former heavyweight champion. That's how good that dude was.
I gotta watch. I have huge gaps in my UFC because I watched the Tank Abbott years. Like when I was in high school, we would like get the tapes.
Oh my God.
And like early Gracie. But
Yeah.
then I kind of didn't watch again until like maybe 2015. I was like a gap from 98, 99 to 2015.
That's interesting. You were there for the fun days, though.
Yeah.
That was when it was a wild thing. That was like you couldn't even talk to people about it.
No, it was like having the UFC like 1 through 8 or having like the kids VHS was like collateral back in the day.
Yeah.
Like we'd all go to each other's house and be like, "Oh, you got the fucking UFC fucking tape?"
It's a status symbol. It's like shitting in a bucket in Dubai.
Yeah.
You can get that lady to shit in that bucket.
Yeah.
Like, yes, here's your money.
And I remember because I was ignorant, my favorite guy was just Tank Abbott early on.
Oh, Tank Abbott was a man.
Yeah.
He was the man. Tank Abbott has still see Tank Abbott versus John Matua. This was like one of the most when I saw this on television, I was like, oh my God. Like I didn't think about this aspect of fighting, that you're gonna get this dude who's just like a old time wrestler, power puncher, loves to drink and loves to fuck people
best.
up, and he's like, probably close to 300 pounds, strong as a fucking ox, and he's mean and funny, man. He's a funny dude, man. I got drunk with that guy many times back in the day when we all did shows together.
This was a good fight. I remember this.
Yeah,
We had this tape.
Yeah.
This is a good fucking fight.
This was one of the best knockouts in the early days of the UFC. Scooter had there to the actual fight. That's Michael Buffer.
This was
not even Bruce Buffer interviewing the fighters or announcing the fighters. How crazy is that? So here it is. So the fight was very quick.
Yup. This that Tank Abbott era. I was like, he was my favorite.
Boom. Oh. Like, look at that KO.
Because he was just like bar
looks like
fighting.
he got electrocuted. Look at that KO.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I'd ever seen that.
That was the first dab. That's the original dab.
Original dab. That's the first time I ever saw that in the UFC. Like the way he did it, I was like, oh. I was like, that guy's fucking dangerous.
And he just reminds you of your homie from high school, like that could just fucking fight.
There's always guys like that.
Yeah.
There's always people like, no, the martial artists or whatever. Listen, there's always dudes who can just fight, and if they're big and they take a punch, and if they're like this guy, especially if they like to drink.
Yeah, and there was a dude in my high school, he's a year younger than me, named Dax, just built like that. He could just fucking fight, and there's a dude named Tony Mahoney who could fight.
Those guys existed in the ale taverns that the Vikings visited fucking 1,000 years ago. They were always doing that.
Those are my favorite fighters.
Look at him. He's making fun of the dude who's out cold. That guy's a savage. And he fought some of the legends of the game. I mean, Tank fought them all.
Yeah, and he had no grappling.
Oh, he had a grappling.
You think so?
100%. He could wrestle. Yes, absolutely. He could wrestle. Yeah. He just wanted to fuck people up. Like most of the time, he was just fucking people up. He wasn't a guy that would like shoot on anybody.
Yeah.
But he knew how to grapple.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
He had a wrestling background. But his power punching was fucking ridiculous, man. He would flatline people.
Yeah, because I only saw him just like punching and striking.
Dude, Tank Abbott had some hammers.
Yeah.
Woo! Those early
best.
days were so nuts because it was really like a laboratory for martial arts.
Yeah. And we were all just kids like, I can't believe this is legal. This is fucking sick.
It was wild.
Because people in boxing were never getting fucked up like that.
Not like that. No, not KO'd when they're already down.
Yeah.
Like that was nuts. When he leaped down on him, boom, and smashed him like that. It's like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some brutal knockouts in the mismatches of those days because there were certain people that were just so good and other people that just didn't know what to do with what they were doing. You know, like the Marco Huas days. You remember that guy?
No.
The king of the streets, Marco Huas. Marco Huas was like the first guy that showed the real benefit of being a good leg kicker. Like Marco was one of the first guys to show that. Maurice Smith was another one. Maurice Smith actually against Tank Abbott was like a great example. Because Tank Abbott was so fucking dangerous, but Maurice Smith was a world champion kickboxer, and he just fucked Tank's legs up.
Yeah, I didn't see that fight.
Want to see that one?
Yeah. I
See if
love
you
the
can
early
find
UFC.
Maurice Smith versus Tank Abbott. This is a good one. Because Maurice Smith was the first world-class kickboxer that learned how to grapple and to how to get up and how to defend off the back. He won the heavyweight champion against Mark Coleman. He became the heavyweight champion in an amazing fight. Huge underdog coming into that fight. Just kicked Mark's legs apart.
Fuck. So you watched from like the first one and all the way till now.
Yeah, well, the first one I saw was actually the second one. It was UFC 2 because that was the one that was available. I think he's already hurt here. Yeah, no, he was hurt. But Maurice was a vicious leg kicker. I mean, fucking vicious. And he was a guy who trained a lot with Frank Shamrock. Look at that. Boom. Yeah, he's already really hurt right here. The thing is, like, you can't stop Maurice from kicking your leg. You can't stop it, and you're just gonna get battered. And look, Big John's like, that's enough. That's enough. But Maurice, man, his level of kickboxing was the first time that the heavyweight division ever saw like that kind of kickboxing from an MMA fight. There's Marco Huas, yeah.
Yeah, the early ones were cool because they felt like Street Fighter. Like people had such different styles, and like people were like inventing techniques.
So Marco is just chewing this dude's leg up,
Wow.
and he doesn't know how to block. He doesn't know what to do. And now he's all fucked up. His leg's not working well. So now he's trying to kick Marco back. This is Paul Varlins.
And this is when people all look different. Like Marco looks like Rick the Model Martel. Like this is like WWF.
He's a perfect specimen of manhood. Look at him. Marco Huas was a perfect specimen of manhood at this time. Look at him. Beautiful physique and vicious leg kicks. And Paul Varlins just couldn't take it after a while. Look at his left leg. It's just battered and bruised. And Marco would just wait, and then if he went right leg forward, attack that leg too. So he's just fucking his leg up over and over again. And Varlins was 300 pounds, man.
So he invented this in
No.
UFC? But
He most certainly didn't invent it. It's
kickboxing.
Muay Thai.
Yeah.
But Marco was a Vale Tudo fighter. So he was a guy from Brazil. And Vale Tudo is, I think it means anything goes. And those guys all fought bare knuckle, and they all fought in Speedos, just like that. Like the manliest men that have ever existed.
Wow.
Brazilian, MMA champions that came over during those days, like Marco. Marco's like the manliest man that's ever existed.
Dude, I like the old logo too. The old logo's so fire.
Oh, it was dope, right?
Yeah. It feels like some Enter the Dragon shit, like the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Yeah. Yeah, Marco Huas was a legend. He used to teach in Beverly Hills too. He
No
used
way.
to teach at Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, during
You
those
ever
days.
trained with him?
No, I did not. No, but I went down there once because Boss Rutan was doing something, and it was pretty cool. They developed. I don't know if it's still around anymore, but they developed like a real high level in the early days of MMA. You know, like a high level camp down there. Like Pedro Hizzo was working out there, and Boss Rutan, and a bunch of other like really top level guys, and it was in Beverly Hills. It was like pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go home and watch the old tapes because I used to love them, man.
Well, the thing about the UFC that's really weird is that it's the only sport in our lifetime that's gotten way better. Like the athletes of today, the fighters of today, in comparison to some of the people that fought in the very early days of the UFC, there's no comparison. Whereas, like, if you compared football, like you're a football fan, right?
Yeah.
How much different are people from the year 2005 to the year 2023?
They're not at the level of UFC. Like they're faster, they're stronger.
Is it like slight
They're better.
improvements?
It's slight and gradual, and you can see it, right? And like basketball too. Like Steph Curry, I think, is the evolution of like the superstar basketball player. Like he can do shit nobody else could do before. So, but then even in basketball, people are like Jordan's the best ever. So, UFC, you have dudes every year that are just like, it just keeps getting better and better and better.
It's crazy. I've never seen a sport like it where the people that are the best right now, they're so much better than like 1993. Like if you watch these early days, the guys wearing gis and they don't know what they're doing. They're wearing shoes, no shoes, bare knuckle.
Yeah.
Maybe wear like knuckle covers.
Because through the span of the sport, people started to see a consensus develop of like, that works, that doesn't work. And like in the beginning, people, you know, you have your beliefs, you have your opinions, but by the end, it's like the consensus usually wins out.
Yeah, the consensus usually wins out. Yeah, it's just like you find out what's effective with different styles, and you realize like one style is totally effective if you do this, but totally ineffective if you do that.
Yeah.
And then people figure that out. They start kicking calves. They start taking people down. They start making them stand up. There's so many different things that you learn through the progression of these guys and trying to figure out and girls trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then the new people get to learn all that stuff in advance. So the new people, like these new 17 and 18-year-olds, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
Because they're coming in like full ninja skills on the ground, like wicked kickboxing skills, standing up. They can do everything.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch like truth or like just the consensus win out in a microcosm like the UFC. And I just wish that like our greater life could be like that. Because you see certain things win out, but then we can never agree. Like, it's like they won, right? No, they didn't. No, that didn't happen.
Somebody wrote, was it Bill Maher? Maybe it was Bill Maher. Someone was talking about how sports is our last meritocracy. I saw it was the cover of an article or something like that.
I would agree.
Or the title of a video, perhaps. I remember seeing it going, well, there's certain sports where there's no room for bullshit, and fighting is 100% one of them.
Yeah.
There's no room for bullshit. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, like the books like Field of Dreams, Shoeless Joe Jackson, they kind of present the case that like sports is the last or only meritocracy where like there are rules and boundaries and like truths shake out. You shake the dice enough, the truth, it'll be there every time.
Yeah. And if you're all competing within a certain rule set and parameters, you really get to find out everything. Whose mind works better, whose body works better, who's faster, who's meaner, who's this, who's that, who's more creative, and they all express themselves through this game.
Yeah. And
it's so important.
Yeah, I think you would like this book called Shoeless Joe Jackson, and it became Field of Dreams. But the book is really about the White Sox cheating scandal.
Right.
And why this fictional character takes it so hard, because it's like sports is the last bastion where truth shakes out. So when you have cheating in sports, it's like the greatest lie to this guy.
Right.
It's dope. It could apply to the UFC, you know.
That is true, right? Like cheating to win in sports. But then this, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Like literally living in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
The fuck are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, man.
Chomping on a cigar. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, kid.
Fucking Canelo, man. I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices. But I'm a Triple G fan, so I'm a
I have,
say that ahead of time. I just like
There's
Triple
a
G.
lot of money on the line, and if I could get away with it, I would do it as well.
Some tainted beefs.
I think, well, he definitely got busted once for
Yeah.
something, but it could have been from tainted beef. We don't know. But it also could be that, we should probably leave them the fuck alone and let them do whatever they want to do. Do you want to see Manny Pacquiao fight or not? Right? I want to see him juiced up, fighting at 45 years of age, coming in with a full six-pack, lighting people on fire.
Yeah.
Why not? Let him juice. If he doesn't, just you can't decide
Put
what
on
he
a
can
show.
and can't do. Let him have
I agree.
fun. We got science on our side.
I agree. I'm just a Canelo hater because I'm a Triple G fan, but I agree. It's like steroids don't make you a better boxer.
They definitely help.
They help. They help.
They help a lot.
They help.
They help a lot, which is why they're illegal. But I think that we should probably revisit that when it comes to older athletes for sure. Because do you want to see people compete into their old if they want to? Especially in some sports where they're not getting hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't know what kind of testing they do for the NBA, but I would imagine that in order to compete at the highest level, what does it say? A report? Major League Baseball stops testing for steroids after drug agreement with players expires.
And then the home run
Good
records start
move.
They want to put on a show.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's go
Yep.
back to knocking them into the fucking parking lot.
Put on a
right
show.
I would think that if you wanted your body to work at its best, you would want to have at your access. You would want to have access to all the best methods for recovery, for optimization, for healing, for dealing with injuries. There's a lot of stuff, man, and a lot of it is illegal.
Yeah. Yo. I mean, they don't even test anymore. It's not good for the game.
Well, I like that basketball. They won't test for marijuana because so many of those dudes play high. Is that true, Jamie? That's not just rumor, is it?
During the pandemic, when the bubble started, they were like, all right, fuck this rule.
Yeah.
So I bring your weed. Enjoy.
The thing about weed and anything that's feel is that it accentuates your feel. Like you feel more, if that makes any sense at all. Like when you work out on jiu-jitsu, like if you do jiu-jitsu while you're high, it feels like you're more focused. Like the world doesn't exist. You just try to not get choked or trying to move into a better position. You're like completely locked into this thing. It's very, very common that guys get high and do jiu-jitsu. In fact, there's like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu championship, high rollers, where they all get high as fuck and then they go.
I gotta see this shit.
Oh my God, we'll play it for him.
Yeah.
Play it for him.
That's a good name.
It's my friend Matt's. Actually, I think he sold it. But the point is, it's like it's a great connection that marijuana and jiu-jitsu has always had, because jiu-jitsu kind of operates a lot on feel. Obviously, there's some people that don't agree with this. There's a lot of people that think drugs are bad, and a lot of people think that jiu-jitsu is for, children love jiu-jitsu too. We shouldn't introduce them to this. And you're right. You shouldn't do it if you're a kid. You shouldn't do it until you're an adult. But once you're an adult,
Kids don't do drugs.
once you're an adult, it's the best one out of all of them, and it's really good for certain sports. Like it's great for apparently basketball, but it's great for pool. When you play pool, when you're high, you can feel where that ball's going. It's weird. You get into a zone. It's very interesting because you get into what they call. There's a thing about pool called dead stroke. That's when you play you know exactly where the ball's going. You make it. Mm-hmm. It feels like you can get more to that with weed.
Yo, this is incredible. High
It's incredible.
rollers.
Yeah. So they have these jiu-jitsu matches while they're baked as fuck. It's really wild. And the whole crowd gets to watch them. That's Matt. He's the guy who created it. And these are they're fucking cool crowds.
Yeah.
Nick Diaz is there.
The weed makes sense. Now imagine if they were smoking meth. That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Oh my God.
The fucking glass rollers.
I've never done any kind of real amphetamine, but I'm very curious. I'm very curious
think
when I
I,
talk to people who like
accidentally-
Adderall.
Yeah.
They're always telling you, dude, it's amazing. I'm like,
Adderall, I mean, yeah, I like
seems dangerous.
Adderall definitely helps.
Seems dangerous.
It is dangerous. Like, I can't imagine giving it to a kid because they prescribe it to children with ADD. But I definitely remember I took that. Well, so when I was a kid, I got taken out of school. I was having like issues. I was saying funny stuff in class. They took me to a therapist and they gave me a gifted test because she's like, I think you might be like high IQ, whatever. You're just doing weird stuff in school. I failed the test, the time test, and she's like, that doesn't make sense. You have like better cognitive ability than that. Let me give you an untimed test. And I did the untimed test and I scored off the charts. And she's like, you have issues with attention and time. And I think she recommended that I was on medicine, but my mom was a very like anti-medicine person. But when I went to go take the LSAT,
Just pause for a second. There.
yeah,
Imagine a world where someone tells you, hey, man, you scored off the charts. You need to get on medicine.
yeah. It
How
was-
crazy is that?
it
How
was-
crazy is it the idea that you are not at a certain pace? Like that anyone would consider medicating you.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
If you're scoring off the charts and they go, oh, you have problems with time
I
and
think
attention.
and constraints, like social constraints, like boundaries.
Well, not just boundaries, but it seems like what they're saying is if they're saying you have problems with time and attention, they want you to be a more studious worker. They want you to focus more.
Yeah.
And so they're going to give you some fucking speed.
Yeah.
They're going to give you something that really locks you in.
Yeah,
But meanwhile, you scored off the charts. Like you're just a laid back off the charts dude.
yeah.
Isn't that okay?
And it's like it's better for multiple choice. Like as a lemming, you just nailed it.
Imagine
it's like,
being a mother. And you're like, my child is medicated. Why is your child medicated? Well, he's too fucking smart. Scored off the charts, so they gave him speed. Now he just makes weapons.
she tried to frame it as the doctor. I remember it being like, oh, he needs help with time and rules.
Bro, they were
and,
going to hook you up with the good shit.
Yeah, thank God my mom though stepped in.
Yeah, thank God your mom stepped in.
Yeah. But then to do like regular social shit, it helps. Like an LSAT, like a standardized test, I scored significantly higher taking Adderall.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of that shit. I haven't tried it, but I want to. But I won't, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh no. Because someone is describing ADD or ADHD. They're just describing like what happens to them. Like they really can't focus on things, and then when they take Adderall, they focus. And
It
like
helps.
but is that a diagnosis? Like the idea that there's like when we're talking about what drugs are legal and illegal, like that's a real drug. That's a real one.
Yeah.
Right? That's a real one. I'm not against it, but I'm just flabbergasted at the ones that people, without question, allow, but the ones they don't allow.
Yeah, so the thing for me, this is my feeling about like cognitive disorders, like ADHD, things like, you know, of that nature. Not too serious, but for every something like ADHD that has a negative, I did see a positive creatively. Like there are days where we were doing overnight shoots on the movie Boogie, right? And I had trouble staying up on the overnight shoots. So I was popping ads when we flipped to the overnights the first like 3 to 5 days. I will tell you, I was much more of a soldier, much more like buy the book, do this. But when I went back, I was like, I was overly positive about a few of those scenes.
Oh.
Like, I
You
think
know what it's like? Showgirls. Showgirls is a cocaine movie.
yeah, with the one with the girl from
I
Saved
don't
by the
know.
Bell.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If they're doing cocaine when they were making Showgirls.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like if you were gonna make a movie on coke and you thought it was good, and everybody else was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
That would be Showgirls.
yeah.
Not saying they were on coke, but I am saying it seems like a movie made by people who are on coke.
Yo, definitely I look and I'm like, tone is a little different. And I'm not the first director. I'm not like fucking stabbing myself harikiri here. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of directors, they smoke weed or they do whatever. Like, on overnights, I took a few ads. But, like,
Does it make you just have a distorted perception of how good the work is?
I felt it was slightly more positive than I normally am. And at first I thought it was a benefit to be like, I'm more positive because people around me are always like, you don't be, like, take it easy, relax. But I was like, I wasn't as critical as I usually was. And I missed the critical lens. I
Yeah.
think as a director, you gotta stay critical.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the marijuana mindset, right? Because you do get sort of self-critical and critical about your work in a more objective way. You start looking at things and looking at cracks in it and holes in it.
Yeah. Everything's a balance, but that's what I mean to say with the ADHD. I was like, for everything you say is negative about this, there's a positive. Like, and taking the medicine, there's a negative and a positive. But me personally, I don't want to make art on Adderall. You know, like, I
Right.
probably wouldn't.
Do you have any concern that with what's going on with AI, that it's gonna completely take the legs out from a lot of artists? Like if you think about what they're doing with AI, with the ability to write things, it can write stories. You could ask it to write a story for you. It can do code. You can make it have fake images of things that have never really happened, and they're kind of realistic. Did you see the Megalodon one that I posted? The CGI one?
Yeah, that was wild.
Put that up, because let's credit that dude, whoever makes it, because this is insane. I don't know how the fuck this guy does this. But there's a guy, whatever his Instagram page is, I reposted it yesterday. He did a CGI of a megalodon attacking a boat and then fucking up a helicopter. It's so crazy how real it looks. Look how goddamn. Give me some volume on that so we could hear it, because he's got sound effects in it
Yeah,
too.
this is crazy.
This is nuts, man. Look at this.
It's getting really close to looking real. You can still tell it's AI, but it's getting close.
Yeah, it's getting very close. Look at this. I mean, bro.
Yeah.
If this is a scene in a movie, you'd be like, holy shit.
It's close to movie quality. This looks like the Meg.
Yeah, it's very close.
I'm personally,
That's amazing.
yeah.
It's fucking amazing. That's computer generated. It's nuts.
It is the AI. I'm not threatened by it, but I feel like certain people, if you're like an assignment writer or an assignment director or a special effects guy, maybe I feel like the really good special effects people are not worried, but like, you know,
I think they should be worried.
the thing that AI can't replicate is not your actual physical voice sonically, but your like the just way your brain is gonna move and the choices you're gonna make. Your actual literary voice. I don't think the machine can replicate that.
But what if it can?
If it can.
Here's the thing. It's like, what if
then-
this thing that we think is unique is really just like patterns, and we could accurately predict those patterns if we have a certain amount of your life history. We can keep it within a certain range. You know? Like what if you came home one day and your wife replaced you with a robot that looks exactly like you, but it's programmed perfectly?
Yo,
Do you know how weird that would be?
It's
Wouldn't happen to
definitely-
you, but imagine being like some douchebag banker guy, and you come home, and your wife goes, "Come on in, there's someone I want you to meet," and she shuts the door, and then you come from around the corner staring at you, and she's like, "I am tired of your bullshit, and I can just keep you around without having you around," and he'll do whatever the fuck I say. It's a horror movie.
So I think it is a horror movie, but it's also a double-edged sword. Like with everything we talking about today, is I think if it actually happened, I would be pretty pissed if there was a robot fucking my wife. I would be pissed.
Bro.
But
Well. He's you, but he's never gets tired. He doesn't even eat food.
here's the thing I think about with like people is I think the most distinctive specific thing that makes us who we are is your actual human spirit.
Yeah.
Now, for the AI to replicate that, that would mean that your human spirit has a signature and a code that can actually be codified. That's what we're asking.
Mm-hmm.
Can the human spirit be codified, or is it actually random and organic and unpredictable in this way that we've been thought to believe, like existentially? So if the AI can replicate the human spirit, and if the human spirit can be codified, there is a silver lining in it for me personally, where I'm like, oh, then I'm not distinct, and there is not like a destiny, and I can just enjoy my life until I die because there's nothing unique about me.
And also, you might already be in a simulation. You might already be in some sort of a computer program. It seems preposterous, but the whole world should be preposterous to you. It should seem crazy that we're on the brink of nuclear war. It should seem crazy that we're counting down the days till the iPhone 15 comes out. Super excited about its launch. Like, what are we doing?
Like, if each
All of it's
individual,
crazy.
if each individual person could be codified into like a QR code of your human spirit. When we're asleep in one night, a computer could simulate 3,000 years of human civilization.
Easily.
It could literally
probably
do
more,
that.
because it would probably create a better computer that has even more capacity and more capability.
And then if it did that, then what's not to say like it can manipulate time and space? Now, that's the next. Can you manipulate time and space?
Of course you can. You just have to figure out how. And we're not close to that yet. But if we're close to making something that figures it out, that makes more sense.
Right now we're manipulating existence.
Yeah.
So then the question is, can existence be boiled down to a code? I think that's the question of this era, this generation right now.
And also the ability to travel to anywhere, the ability to rewrite your genetics, to reverse aging, stop it dead in its tracks, cure diseases, regrow limbs. I mean, they're on the verge of some pretty wild physical discoveries too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's happening simultaneously, like all over the world. And then on top of that, AI is emerging. And the people, I mean, I don't know enough about this to really comment without just being silly, but the people that don't know what's going to happen, who are educated in it, they're scaring the shit out of me. The people that don't know, the people like...
See, why are you scared? So, and it's not to be like, why are you scared? I don't want to say it like that. But like,
Say it.
for me,
Because
the
I'm
thing,
a bitch, Eddie.
no,
I'm a
man,
bitch.
no,
I'm
it's not
hiding.
like that. I meant it this way, in that existentially, like, if we're meaningless, like, I think the way that people have organized society and tribalism, culture, everything, is to say there is a meaning to life. Like, it's in your best interest to assume that there is a meaning to your life.
Sure.
To not assume that would be like, ooh, that could be sad. But if your life actually doesn't have meaning, maybe it's even more fun.
Yeah.
Who knows?
There's a possibility to that. And there's the inevitable. Like, whether you freak out or not, this stuff is moving in a very specific direction. It's not moving in a place where it's going to slow down and go back to the Stone Age. The only thing that's going to happen, if that happens, we're either going to blow ourselves up, or we're going to get hit by something, or there's going to be a super volcano. It's one of those things, or something else, some other natural disaster, something big. That's the only way we get out of this without becoming bionic.
Yeah.
The only way we get out of this without becoming cyborgs, or without it taking over the world, it's like that's where it's going.
If I had to bet on it, like what happens at the end, I think we're going to realize at like the final hour that there is meaning to life, that like, you know, there was something to accomplish and there was something to do, but we were too late. Because I do feel in at least my body and my emotions, that life is consistently bittersweet. Like that's usually the feeling I take away from experiences. I'm like, it's bittersweet. There's pleasure and pain. There's agony and ecstasy. And I think as a civilization, at the very end, we'll probably realize there was a lot of meaning that we didn't pay enough attention to.
Perhaps. I think that search for meaning also propels us in a very specific direction, and all the things that we're interested in, whether it's acquiring new things, or whether it's electronics, technology, the internet, exchange of information, it's all powered by technology, all of it. And the technology is what we really make. Everything else is sort of like this motivating factor, this engine that creates revenue that makes the technology get born.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the fuck is really going on. We're making ultimate tech, and the ultimate technology is artificial life.
Yeah, because I do feel there's even less time in this specific generation of the last 5 or 6 years devoted to meaning.
Yeah.
It's just, how do we move forward? How do we legislate? How do we create boundaries and rules and safe spaces? Which is like, this is all important stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
But it's like, what happened to the discussion of meaning? And like, when you were a kid, did you have hope? Or like, even let's say your 20s, and did you have hope for people in civilization?
When I was in my 20s, I barely thought about it because all I was thinking about was trying to make it as a comedian, and I was poor, and I was just trying to fucking do gigs, and I was so self-centered in the worst way in that. Like, I didn't know what was going on in the world. I didn't know shit about politics. Like, it would have to be, like, on the news, in my face, oh, my God, we're at war. That's what it'd have to be in my 20s. And it wasn't until... I started reading some books that got me into like the Kennedy assassination. I started reading some books that got me thinking about like Operation, like the MK Ultra shit, the things that they did with people with the LSD tests, and I was like, what the fuck is our history?
Yeah,
and I started getting into it then, but. When I was a young kid, when I was in I can't imagine these kids that are like politically active, that are like 17, 18 years old. Like, I didn't know jack shit about what was going on in the world in terms of politics. And
see, I was one of those funny kids that read the newspaper and cared, and then just like skipped school and got high and was like, fuck this like, I had opinions and I had hope. But now I feel the last few years, especially watching the pandemic from afar and watching everything happening, I was just like, I don't know if people are able to discern truth from fake anymore.
No, I don't know either.
And then
it's really hard.
And that's where I started to lose hope, because I was like, wow, things really seem clear to me, and a certain, like it seems like pretty clear what's going on, but there's a lot of argument about things that don't feel like we're grappling with actual truth and facts. And that's when I started to lose hope, and I'm like, I don't know what the direction is.
I think it always moves in a better direction, but it doesn't do it linearly.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it clean. There's like a lot of chaos going on. It's sort of like, it's like the climate.
Peaks and valleys, yeah.
There's a lot of peaks and valleys with human growth. I think we're ultimately always moving towards a better place, but sometimes there's corrections that have to happen, and we have to figure out what we're doing. And I think that as a group collectively, the biggest fear that I have is that we just get swallowed up by something that we create. That's the thing. I feel like maybe it's inevitable. Maybe that's just what we're here for anyway. But I feel like that's what, oddly enough, that's what Ted Kaczynski believed. That's what the fucking Unabomber believed. He believed that technology was going to kill the human race.
Well, it makes sense as an aspect of like the feeling that we're our own worst enemy, and I wouldn't disagree with you.
Well, we definitely are, right? Because if we stopped all war right now, just no one ever killed anyone ever again, just stop and everybody work together. The only reason that's not possible is because of world leaders. If it was just individual human beings that live together in cities, there's very rarely are there intra-city wars, right? There's not even interstate wars anymore. We only tried that once. Most of the time, it's someone over there and someone over here. Like, why? Why is that? Because of world leaders. It's all because of world leaders.
Inequality gaps. Because
Also,
if there's someone who can send someone else to fight for them, it'll happen.
Yes, and they provide them with free college, Eddie. Yeah, and then there's drone attacks. The fact that you could just fucking fly robots into another country and launch missiles, like, whew. All of it's wild. It's all wild and scary, and it's all being done without. We're not there. Right? We don't know those people, and they're in charge of our existence. They're at the forefront of the most dangerous game in human existence. They're the forefront of global thermonuclear war.
And that's the issue with everything, is the idea of by proxy.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I love watching like Yakuza films, like proxy wars. Everything happens. War, Yakuza proxy wars. It's because there's an inequality gap between two classes of people. And when you have someone that has so much to gain by sending someone in they do not give a fuck about to fight their war by proxy, they're going to do it. And like, let's take it out of war in the Yakuza so you can see it in like everyday life. Restaurants. If it's the chef and he's there and he's working like I was early days at Bauhaus, that's going to be the best version of it. Now, if I take it out of there and I go teach someone who teaches someone to teach someone, inevitably, it's not going to be as good.
It's not going to be as good.
And like, if someone offers me that deal, I'll probably still take it if like I feel like there's a level of quality it can maintain and stay at. But the fact of the matter is, anything by proxy is gonna be shittier, and there's gonna be injustice. It's
Yeah.
writing a show. All these guys, they put their names on a show. They're not actually writing it. Then they have the little homie write it. It's not. Very rarely do you accidentally hit on a little homie who's as good or better than you.
Well, you occasionally do, but the point is, like, it's a hustle. It's a money hustle at that point. It's not really like a passion project.
And it's
not a
feudalism.
thing. Yeah. If we only forced the sons of millionaires to go to war,
There wouldn't be any.
it was done. If they did it that way, if they did it by income, and the wealthiest people's sons were the first to get drafted overseas. Do you imagine? You imagine how quickly they'd stop war?
Yep.
They're like, "What the fuck are you up to?
But that
What's
makes
going
sense.
on? You gonna kill my Billy?"
Because they have the most to gain.
Exactly.
So why shouldn't they risk the most?
But it's just crazy that these systems have always sort of existed. These systems and classes of people that were willing to send people to war, and then people that are never going to war on their own. They're like, I'm not going. But they'll send people, and they make decisions, and they do it behind desks. They do it in offices, and it's always existed like that. It's fucking wild.
And there's no consequences to their decisions. They don't give it the proper care because that blood is never going to splash onto their desk.
That's wild.
It's by proxy is the issue. And democracy is by proxy.
We need the aliens.
We need the aliens.
We need them to come down.
We
They
need
have
the
to come
aliens.
down and they have to just go, listen, you guys are just fucked. You're not going to sort this out. Stop.
We need someone from another planet to come
Yeah.
and be like, this is the truth. Stop denying it. Don't talk your way around
What do
it.
you think would happen? Like, imagine if Russia moves nukes into Belarus, right? Which is supposedly happening. And then one day there's some sort of a critical exchange. And they go, that's it. That's enough. And they just a giant ship hovering over the battlefield where everybody's like, holy fuck. And you realize that this thing is from another planet. It sends out a bunch of satellite ships, and they come down, and these things get out.
It's not far from reality.
Would you do it that way if you were an alien, or would you force these dummies to create artificial intelligence that eventually takes them over? Would you conquer them that way? If you looked at these, like, imagine, like, I just want to think about it this way. Imagine if we went to some sort of a jungle and someone had given the chimpanzees missiles. And the chimpanzees just fucking launching missiles. We'd be like, yo, we got to kill those chimpanzees. They're fucking shooting at planes. They're shooting at boats. We got to kill them. Right? They're too wild.
Yeah.
They would come in and kill them, right?
See,
I bet they would do that with us.
if we were a threat, they would absolutely kill us. And the
Yeah.
fact that they haven't killed us means we're clowns.
I think they can
We're
stop
absolute clowns. Like, my brother's feeling is, and he's smarter than me and he reads much more alien stuff. I was like, yo, if they're here, why haven't they killed us? He goes, they don't care. He's like, I think they're doing research. And I'm like, all right, if they're doing research, then they're just going to let us die. And they're just going to, like, they're probably watching us on screens just laughing. Like, yo, look at these idiots. Look at these idiots.
I would imagine we're pretty funny.
They
to
can't even
watch.
drink water in Philadelphia. You know, like.
Yeah. I know, right? Isn't
It's
that
like
nuts?
Housewives for them. Like, yo, check out Housewives Philadelphia. They don't got water now. You know? You should have seen
Yeah.
what happened in East Palestine. Like, the aliens are watching us like Bravo.
Probably. I bet they're probably monitoring nuclear sites. Because one of the things that has been reported in the past, and again, you don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if you're getting, this brings us back to what we were originally talking about. You don't know if you're getting bullshitted. You don't know if it really happened. You don't know. If you weren't there and they don't have any physical evidence for you to watch or see or touch, even physical evidence you can watch, we know that could be horseshit. But most likely it's not if it comes from official channels. But, like, it doesn't mean they don't exist. Like, even if you think that it's nonsense, you think it's silly, that might be part of the plan. Part of the plan might be make it seem silly. That way you could just be around all the time. And people talk about it, and even the Pentagon talks about it. Nobody cares? Like, well, okay, you hit the right frequency then.
Yeah, and that means they're a much more evolved civilization than us.
Yeah, they're playing
They're playing
game.
chess.
Yeah. They recognize that we have a real susceptibility to groupthink. and we were real susceptible. And if you can trick people into thinking that UFOs are silly, oh God, what do you think about other life forms from another planet? So silly. What a great way to trick people. If you could do that, and you did exist, you could make it so that talking about you carries a social consequence. So if you're in polite society, right, nowadays in 2023, you can have a conversation about UFOs because the New York Times wrote an article about it. You could say, did you see that? Did you see that article in the New York Times? Did you see the Pentagon had a discussion?
So, yo, what if Woody Allen is an alien? Because no one writes faster than this guy. He's made so many good films. He's done terrible things, and he survives, and he's among us, and it's just like, is Woody Allen an alien? Like, how did he figure out?
That might be the worst take I've ever heard from you.
Bro, but what if the exact tone, like, it's like, look at the things he's accused of doing, and he walks among us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's uncancelable.
Well, not really, because I don't know if actors are as willing to work with him anymore, and I don't know like what kind of distribution, like how has that affected his films and what he does and what he's allowed to do. I don't know.
Like his own family's come out against him, and he's still out here. Like even Bill Cosby had to go to court at least.
Yeah,
you know,
at least,
and he's still out. He came back outside. Like
yeah. It's dark.
Yeah, Woody Allen as an alien is dark.
Well, I don't think he's an alien. I think he's just a flawed human being.
But the idea, what I guess I'm saying is the concept that you're saying is they're among us, and they've made themselves a laughingstock and a joke so as to avert.
I don't even know if
and
necessarily they're among us. I don't know if the things that people are seeing. I don't know. I think those are probably. I'm just guessing. I shouldn't even say probably, but I think those could be drones. I think they could be super sophisticated drones that we don't understand because they've done all of this science in a way where they never made it public. It's not likely, but it is possible. It's one of those things where you're like, man, you don't know. Like if they were very clever and they started doing this at a certain point in time in history and they were almost like a movie, where they had this like secret laboratory where they hired the top physicists and they gave them some fake jobs, like, oh, I'm in charge of fertilizer reproduction at this, this chemical plant. Bullshit. This guy he's over there back engineering UFOs. What if they really do have some crash shit that they found in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, and they've been trying to figure out how to back engineer that, and they're getting closer.
Dude, I just want to meet Optimus Prime. Like Optimus Prime looks like the illest alien. I just hope that it's Optimus Prime. That would be fucking sick.
I want a little tiny gray dude that can read minds. I want the traditional. I don't want the bullshit new age. Fucking
I want
robot.
a truck.
I don't want a truck.
Sam Witwicky.
What if it was like Woody from Toy Story? What if that's what the aliens are? They come down here, they're like, what the fuck, Woody? Woody, you're the head alien? But that's like that scene in Contact. Remember in that Jodie Foster movie? Did you ever see Contact?
Yeah, long time ago.
When the end of the movie, I believe it's her dad. It comes to her as her dad. I think the alien tells her. I'm pretty sure it's her dad, and it tells her they're walking together. It's like this whatever we are is too much for you to handle. So I've shown myself in this form. Yeah, it's a heavy scene, dude. It's a heavy scene. It's a really good movie, man. Do you remember that movie?
Yo, I do. I haven't seen it in a while.
It was written by the original novel was by Carl Sagan, and they converted it into one of the best like alien movies of all time because it was like an intellectual, dramatic movie about contact with an alien race and how it was probably going to present itself. And it was very, very novel because, Carl Sagan was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Also, huge pothead. Carl Sagan, huge pothead.
And the movies be predicting the reality. Like
that one is
I got to watch this.
It's probably
Again.
how they would do it. If they were going to make contact with you, why would they freak you out and come looking like some fucking weird stick figure with a giant gray head?
But that was her dad, right?
Yeah.
Woody Allen.
You motherfucker, you don't want to let it go. Why are you so hanging on to this? Why are you hanging on to this, Eddie?
It's just fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I love hanging on the ridiculous point.
Maybe that's right though. But let's look at it this way. Like, what a better way to hide yourself. Like, no one's coming to him for wisdom. No one's coming to him to think how to run the world. But what if he's amongst us, just making these silly movies, but really just gathering data?
Yeah, and giving us like the deepest insights into our souls for these films. And you know why I really like Woody Allen as an alien? Because I do feel if the aliens came, they would be fucking Knicks fans. That's why.
Interesting.
Really, Woody Allen, alien.
Yeah.
The Knicks are the greatest.
If you say so.
Are you a Celtics fan? Like, do you watch NBA?
I was the most casual Celtics fan of all time when I lived in Boston. Like, if they won, I was like, yay, But I don't
That's
have
so
time for
wild.
sports.
I've never met a You're the only casual Celtics fan I know.
Well, this is when I lived there. Like, I'm pretty sure. Did I go to one game? I think I went to one game at the Boston Garden when I was a kid. I definitely went to a hockey game too, but it was like sports to me were just like, I don't know. They
Bing bong.
They get crazy.
Fresh out the garden, baby. We're taking it all the way.
See, if you an alien, like you're like, yo, these are the people I want to be around.
Well, you
That
know what
guy
you don't
looks
want
like
to
an
be.
alien.
You don't want to be walking through them with a Lakers T-shirt on. That's what you don't want. They will beat you to death. That's what's fucked up. Those guys are in a war. They're in a war with another team. And
I
the
love
fans
it.
of another team, like they'll get like very hostile. You have to be very careful.
Like, mark my words, man. Aliens, if they arrive in 100 years, ask them who's the greatest basketball they're gonna say the Knicks. They got
Okay.
good taste.
I believe you. They're getting crazy though. Look at this guy. Let's get ready to fight some people. They're ready to fight people.
I love that clip.
I don't have time for
That was
sports,
after
man.
double OT when we beat the Celtics, season opener, 2022.
I feel like sports swallows up a lot of your time. Like
Yeah.
if you really get into sports, you got baseball to watch, football to watch, basketball to watch.
Oh, I had to give up multiple sports for my wife. Because I bamboozled her. The first 6 months we were together, I didn't watch
Faked it.
sports.
You faked it.
Yeah, I
And then you
flipped it and
slowly
reversed
introduced it.
Yup.
Nice.
And then, because also she likes UFC. So I was like, oh, okay, I get you. And she's Greek. So Kambosos was like big last year fighting boxing. So we could do UFC, we could do boxing. And I was like, the one thing I care about is the Knicks. Then I brought in the Commanders, and she's now like, yo, I'm going to kill you.
She's from Australia?
No, she's from, she's Greek.
She's
Greek.
Greek.
She's
Oh,
born
okay.
in Boston, though. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because I was thinking Kambosos. I'm like,
Yeah, no, Kambosos is
Australian,
Greek.
but Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a shit ton of good fighters that came out of Greece.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's been Greek kickboxers, Greek jiu-jitsu athletes. Yeah. Well, imagine, like, living in a place where they invented democracy. Like,
Yeah.
you're walking around Greece, you're like, you guys invented democracy right here?
Sports.
You invented pancration.
Yo, they're like meeting her and her fam. I'm like, oh, you guys are like Chinese people of the West. You claim everything. You said you invent, and it's like true. And like, you have your own astrological system. I'm like, yo, y'all are the light skin answer to. Well, y'all are Western Chinese people to me.
Do you have you ever heard of a book called The Immortality Key?
No.
It's a book by this guy, Brian Murarescu, and it's all about ancient Greece. And it's all about these enlightenment ceremonies that they were doing. And they realized over time, these researchers did, that what they were doing is they were drinking wine that was laced with ergot, which has psychedelic properties. So ergot, which is very much like LSD. So it's real similar. So they were tripping balls. So this is where they invented all these things. This is where they had the Lucinian mysteries. Like all these different people from all over the world would come to have these experiences with these people and drink this wine. And that's what they're doing. They're tripping balls.
And that's how they invented
That's
everything.
how they invented democracies. They invented so many aspects of society.
Yeah.
And so many philosophers were a part of that made quotes that we still use today.
Yeah, the foundation of our language, the foundation of Western thought it's all Greek.
Foundation of democracy.
Yeah.
It's really wild that they did all that while they were most likely high on some sort of a psychedelic. And Brian Murarescu in this book makes the case so convincingly and academically that Harvard opened up like a field of study in looking into ancient Greece and psychedelic drugs.
And-
So this whole Eleusinian mystery thing, this like Eleusinian school that they would, all that was like these people were most likely at least some time while they were there tripping balls.
See, for me, when I was in high school, I was really interested in reading about 5th century philosophy and thought, because in the 5th century, you get Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Lao Tzu, Buddha, all of those things. And when you compare them, at the end, everyone in those civilizations tends to agree on the idea of order and balance.
Yeah.
Feng shui, like yin and yang.
Yeah.
That there's two sides to everything. And that is the foundation of like my value system, because I'm like, yo, that was interesting. That was a century where people called a spade and was like, you have to stay even and balanced.
Yeah.
There's two sides to everything, And when you compare the philosophy, when you do a comparative look at the philosophies, they do come to like some similar conclusions from a macro perspective.
Yeah, I think most human beings, when intelligent human beings get together to debate ideas over a long period of time, as long as they're entering into this thing not with the desire to formulate propaganda, but to actually get to the truth, they come to similar conclusions.
Yeah, if you eliminate ego and the desire to win,
Yeah.
take that out, you have similar. And that's, with society, it would be really cool if we took out the desire to win, because I think that's just, you can't.
It's fucking us up.
Yeah, it's always going to fuck you
and
up.
I think it's because of what we talked about before, that every person should have something that they're doing that's difficult to do. Because if you don't have something that you're doing that's difficult to do, you try to look for competition in everything.
Yeah.
You try to look for competition socially with your neighbors. You try to look for competition with, this bitch. Like everybody's got like a thing they're doing. Like it gets in the way. And if you do something where you compete against yourself and your own will, I think it quenches that.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the people that are like, fuck yeah, America's the best, like they're holding us back. It's pride. Every country feeds you pride is a drug to just like, because then they can manipulate you if we have a collective pride.
And also, America's the fucking best. So you can suck it. Everybody can suck it. See, it's fun to say. That's part of the problem.
It
like
is fun to say.
That's fun to say.
Yeah.
America's the best. You can suck it. We're the dumbest for sure. We're
I mean,
but
I say
also
one
smartest.
China. I say one China just because it sounds funny. You know what I mean? It's one China.
One China.
One China.
There's guys
It's
that
bullshit.
play. It's interesting. There's these guys that play pool out of Taiwan, but I think they have to write Chinese Taipei. I think it's one of those deals, right?
Yeah.
And the Ko brothers, they're two of the best pool players in the world, come out of Taiwan. Yeah. It's Ko Ping Chung and what's his brother's name? Ko Ping Chung and Ko Ping Yi. Yeah, Ko Ping Yi and Ko Ping Chung. So Ko Ping Yi and Ko Ping Chung are two of the best pool players on earth, and they come out of Taiwan. And they were like kind of secluded from the pool scene for a couple of years because of COVID, because everything got very strict with COVID and travel. But I'm pretty sure they have to write Chinese Taipei on their shirts, right?
Yeah.
So does it say that on, like, if you have a passport and you pass through? Do they mark it as Taiwan or do they mark it as Chinese Taipei?
So if I fly with a Taiwanese passport, it says Taiwan. It does say Taiwan, but that's the thing. It's the agreement. It's like an in-the-house agreement. You're your own country, but when you talk to white people, say our name first. Call me daddy. It's all pride. It's all fucking crazy.
That's a hilarious take. Do you
Yeah.
think that China will ever invade Taiwan? Is that a fear? Like, is it when you're thinking about like Russia invading Ukraine? Do you think that could ever take place where China invades Taiwan?
Okay. Who's the woman in Florida that killed her own kid? What? Huh?
Yeah, Casey Anthony.
Yeah. If you have a Casey Anthony leader in China, potentially in the future, yeah. Not this guy. This guy's not. He doesn't want to kill Chinese Taiwanese people. That's the thing, is that after 1950, so much of that country is Chinese people that lost the Civil War, led by Chiang Kai-shek into Taiwan. The question would be akin to like, would we ever like attack the South? You know, and
interesting.
And it's I just don't think China has it in its heart to like do it, and I really do think Taiwan is used as just this is like a sore spot.
So do you think it's used to like the West uses it to try to make China look bad in some way, or to try to show that there's some sort of a conflict between Taiwan and China and that we side with Taiwan? Is it like a political ploy?
I really do think America and the other Western forces use Taiwan as like an X. Like you hold it up and you're like, all right, I just went out with her. You know, like
oh no.
it's like Kim Kardashian with Pete Davidson.
Oh no.
Taiwan's Pete Davidson. You know?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's a hilarious comparison, but I see what you're saying. So
And Kanye
making
got
you
all
look
crazy
bad.
and mad. Yeah, he got
China gets mad. You're making us look bad.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yep. But I don't think they're actually gonna do it. It's just a lot of mumbo jumbo.
You know what's
and people make
interesting?
money off it.
They do make money off of it. One of the things that's interesting is that one of the things that people are worried about is China invading X, China taking over the world. But then if you ask them, like, when has China ever invaded anybody? Like, it's only been really Tibet, right?
Not since the wall. You know, like straight up, like the imperialistic
long
intentions ended since the wall. And if it's the pot calling the kettle black, America's the one that'll go into other countries.
Pretty crazy.
China do business with you, you know?
Yeah.
Like America will come rape and pillage. China will hire you as an escort.
Right. Well, China has so many mineral areas, like so many mineral rights, and they have mines in the Congo where they're pulling out cobalt. Like they're controlling like very valuable natural resources. The whole thing has been very clever because they exist in a completely controlled system. You know, they have control over their system. They have control over their people. And that's why this country is kind of at a disadvantage. We let them buy real estate. Like, yeah, go ahead, buy that building. They're buying all the great buildings. Like, it's going to be literal China. They'll own it all, or Saudi Arabia, or somebody else will own it. And like, okay. Meanwhile, how much can you buy? If you're an American business, can you go over and buy giant skyscrapers in China? Can you start running them?
You have to do a lot of money laundering and da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, like I could probably give you a guy. Yeah, but it's very difficult. It's
Yeah.
very difficult. America just has this identity crisis because we've told all the immigrants we're this benevolent Colossus, this place, you know,
Yeah.
come, we're the world's fucking super police. We're the cops. We take care of everyone. When it's like, yo, we're a business. Just like,
Yeah.
just do what's good for it. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and if you start to look at it that way, decisions become much easier, you know. But right now, it's a country that serves too many masters internally within itself because you're serving business, but you won't admit it. Mm-hmm. And that's
You're
where
serving
I think the
business,
identity
you won't
crisis
admit
is.
it. And also, like, what is a border? Like, what are we doing? Are you allowed to come in if you sneak in, or do we have to turn you back? Do you? Is it okay if it comes from the north, but not okay from the south? What about from the sides?
Yeah.
Like, at what point in time do we decide that you can't take more people, or at what point in time do we decide to let all the walls drop and everybody go wherever the fuck they want, everywhere? Let's even the whole world out.
Yeah.
That's the scary one. That's the scary one. Like, anybody can go anywhere, shut the fuck up, and then you're going to have madness until it settles down. So, like, many generations. We don't want to, like, rip the Band-Aid off. We want to go like this, like, We don't want to, whoa, let's open
Yeah.
it all up. Yeah, opening it all up would be a real issue for a little bit. But I think in the long run, if everything was open, if everybody could go everywhere, probably be better for human beings. The only problem is some spots are better.
Yeah, some spots are better. And here's the thing. I would be interested in opening it all up because I'm interested in, like, the seeking of truth. Global mobility would be amazing. You would lose local culture. Certain things would become extinct. You would lose the idea of federalism. But if we look at the UFC, you would come to some agreements and truths.
It would be like a UFC of life.
Yeah.
If
Because
you
what's the
just opened
UFC?
it would probably take as long, too. It would probably take about 20 years to really figure it out until you get like a elite, high-level, modern 2023 champion.
Because the UFC is literally Enter the Dragon when it first started. Everyone from every country, bring your martial arts, try it out.
I like what you're saying. It's so crazy, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like the best way to live would work out. But the problem is if we don't have like a real clear set of rules, if you just open up the borders and people are just gonna take over everything. People storm through cities and do whatever the fuck they want, and there's no cops anyway. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Everything makes sense if you look at it through the prism of sports. It's just like you need rules for truth to shake out.
Have to have rules.
Because then you define winning, you define meritocracy.
Yeah.
It's like, I would always say this, salary caps create, if you're going to believe in competition, if we're going to assume the idea that competition is the best thing for the global capitalism and we have to maintain it in its purest sense, then you need a salary cap.
Yeah. A salary cap for everything in life?
The idea of a cap where it's like you have to continue competing, sending you back, like boxing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I compare boxing to UFC, the issue with boxing is you don't have to fight fights.
Right.
UFC,
You don't have to fight fights? What do you mean?
you don't have to fight the big fights. Like people duck. They duck
in
so many
boxing,
fights.
you mean?
UFC is, while it's not a salary cap, what the UFC does is it reinforces competition. You have to continue defending your belt, and that's what makes it a
I see what
better
you're saying.
sport.
I gotta piss so bad.
Sorry.
I can barely pay attention.
I can't believe you fucking
We'll
lasted.
be right back
Yeah.
in a moment. I must piss. And we're back. I think one of the things that was very interesting that you were saying about like that life, if everything just opened up, would kind of be like the UFC. We'd figure out the right way to do it. Well, there'd be a lot of chaos.
With the right rules
With
and
the
with
right
the right
rules.
incentive. Because, UFC, everybody stays poor, so you have to keep fighting. Right? I mean, not everybody, but...
But what is the incentive, though? Because some guys, they have, like BJ Penn in his prime, famously came from a rich family. Like BJ Penn was a weird case where he just like had a warrior in his genes. He wasn't poor. And he was one of the baddest motherfuckers of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not getting rewarded with that much money by fighting. I think what's cool about the UFC is these dudes want to do it. Like, I get it that, like, say,
They
for
do, but
Cheeto Vera, right? Cheeto Vera, this is a way to become, quote unquote, like, rich. But if you look at what Cheeto Vera makes in comparison to, like, Tank or Ryan Garcia, it's not nearly as much. But you're getting better competition in the UFC, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
If you get to, but you got to say Tank and Ryan Garcia are world champions. So the difference is, if you get to world championship like Aljamain Sterling level, Aljamain's making, I don't know what, I shouldn't speak for him, but I know that there are many UFC champions that make millions of dollars. They become very wealthy.
Would you say, though, that you have to work harder for your money in UFC than in boxing?
I think it's a harder sport.
Yeah.
It's not that boxing is not a hard sport. It's a very, very, very hard sport. What's harder about MMA is that because of all the grappling and all the wrestling that you have to do, your body gets so beat up, it's really hard to show up on fight night and not be already damaged. Whereas in boxing, if you have good sparring partners, like the boxing fights that get canceled versus UFC, the fights that get canceled, I would like to see like what the actual statistics are, but I would assume there's way more UFC fights get canceled because of the variables, the leg kicks, takedowns, all those opportunities to tweak your knee or fuck your neck up. There's just so many people getting hurt in camp that never make it to the fight. Whereas in boxing, it's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's more rare.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, I broke my hand on a sparring partner's head.
Yeah.
Things like that. UFC too, though, it's the idea that you just keep making people fight the toughest fights, and then you're gonna get the true champion, and you're gonna get the better sport. And I think when applied to society, it's like, yo, you gotta maintain competition in a true sense.
Did you see Caleb Plant, David Benavidez?
I did not watch that fight.
Dude.
It was Saturday.
You need to see that fight.
Yeah.
You need to watch that fight.
I got married on Tuesday, so I have an
I
excuse
get it.
this time.
That's a real excuse.
But I will go watch this fight.
Congratulations. Yeah, you should watch it because it was very impressive. Because, if you watched Caleb Plant fight, if you saw him in the Canelo fight and you saw him in, what is his subsequent fight? Who did he knock out with that vicious left hook? Darrell? I can't remember what the dude's name was.
I just remember Caleb Plant losing the fight before.
Yeah, Anthony Durrell.
Yeah.
Vicious left hook KO. But I'm telling you, man, Benavidez just broke him down and was just battering him. And he's a big, tall dude. But Benavidez was battering him in tight in the clinch. I mean, because Caleb kept trying to grab him. He was grabbing him and hold on to him. Dude, this guy was, I mean, it was a good fight. It was a good fight, particularly in the beginning. But, like, he was battering him with some vicious punches, man.
Was Benavidez more impressive than Canelo versus Plant?
Well, Canelo stopped him.
Yeah.
So you
think
always
it was
have
like
to
6
think.
round,
Yeah,
right?
you
Yeah.
got to think. Well, Canelo might be. I mean, this guy, as hard as Benavidez hits, Canelo might actually hit harder.
Yeah.
Canelo's a monster fighter.
Yeah, Canelo hits harder.
But
for sure.
Benavidez, as far as like a young, up and coming, undefeated dude who's real unusual, like real long and strong, like powerful fucking puncher too, man. Fun to watch. And Caleb is slick, dude. Caleb is slick. But he eventually wore on him. He just kept coming after him. And Plant has been known to kind of fade.
Yeah.
He's got such a sprint-heavy sort of style. The style is very, it really almost depends too much upon like fast twitch or something.
He has holes in his defense too. Like a lot of holes in his defense. It's a lot of offense without defense built in is kind of like what I've seen when I watch Caleb Plant fight.
You know, one of the most substantial changes in Canelo from like the early days to the late days is his head movement. That's the big difference, man. Like the Danny Jacobs fight.
Yeah.
That's one of the most beautiful displays of head movement in the history of boxing.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. It was like Willie Pep type shit.
Yep.
Just moving around and the punches were swinging. It's like, nope, not today.
He's so nasty.
It was beautiful.
He's the best counterpuncher right now.
Yeah, that was really pretty gorgeous, that fight. I just think when he went up to fight Bivol, that's just too much. That's too
That's
big.
too much man. Yeah.
That's too big. He's big.
Yeah.
A 175 killer versus a 168 killer versus, and really he's a 154 killer, right? He just kind of bulked up. That's too big.
And Canelo also came into that fight really flat-footed and fighting Bivol, trying to throw bombs because he got so comfortable just overpowering
people out.
people. Yeah, and he didn't box.
Yeah.
Bivol was nasty too.
And after he knocked out Kovalev, goddamn, that was a wild fight. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because you could see, like, Kovalev obviously not the same Kovalev as when he was the champion, back in the Andre Ward days.
Yeah.
But Kovalev was still fucking dangerous, still like a really good, light heavyweight boxer.
Kovalev's one of the best villains of the last 15 years because he lost a lot of the big fights, but he made, like, the Andre Ward series was incredible.
Yeah.
The Canelo shit was amazing. Kovalev's a good villain.
Bro, he dropped Ward, remember?
Yeah.
Dropped when Ward came back to win that fight, and then Ward fucked him up in the second fight.
Yeah.
Well, Ward was fighting him with one hand.
Yeah, Ward is one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen.
Ever.
Yeah.
Fought most of his career with one arm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, his right arm was fucked up. His shoulder's fucked up.
Yeah.
He had to fight with, like, one-handed, like literally one-handed, until he got shoulder surgery. And then he tore his shoulder when he was very young, and they tried to fix it with bands and shit like that, where they should have just done surgery. And they didn't do the surgery.
And that's why he took the break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they took a break and came back, and his shoulder was better than ever. But it's still like the guy beat Carl Froch, beat all those people with like one hand.
That Kovalev fight was just crazy because Kovalev had him early on, and then Andre just downloaded information, started fighting low to high, high to low, instead of going laterally, and Kovalev just could not keep up with him.
Yeah.
Like the stuff jab, and that was a clinic.
He's so smart. And, they offered him the Canelo Alvarez fight after Canelo knocked out Kovalev. And he's like, nope, I think I'd be better served being a broadcaster. He goes, I'm retired, undefeated, multiple weight world champion, gold medalist. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Because that Canelo fight would have been tough. I would have loved to see it, but I think Andre Ward is very smart not taking that fight.
Well, I feel like if you're going to have a fight like that, you should be fighting all the time. You should be in peak condition. You shouldn't be on a retirement mindset and then come back. Like, that mindset is very different. The mindset of a dude who's either chasing a championship or maintaining a championship is a Spartan, savage mindset. And if you relax and retire, you have to rekindle that beast. You have to restoke those fires. You should probably get some warm-up fights inside of you.
Yeah, you need to have something you're chasing,
Yeah.
which is why I felt like Triple G coming to fight Canelo has just been so lackluster.
The last one was.
Yeah.
The last one was fairly. I think, but
The first two were great.
dude, the fucking time doesn't give a shit about your plans. Father Time just starts fucking up your joints, fucking up your back, fucking up your face, fucking up your scar tissue around your eyebrows. Balls shrink.
Like I still really
Feet smell.
I like want to get after it still most days.
Don't do it.
But I remember when I was younger, all 7 days, probably fucking 8 hours of the day, I wanted to be productive. Now I'm like, I want to feel good. And then it's the curiosity thing. So I think my shit's better, but I'm not working as much.
But you're very, very privileged that you've accomplished enough so that part of you is kind of quenched.
Yeah.
And really now what you're about is you're still successful, but you're being successful just by chasing your curiosity, which I think is amazing. That's kind of a lot of what podcasts are all about. You know, podcasts are really all about like chasing curiosity, having conversations, asking questions you're really interested in, finding out stuff about things. It's really about chasing curiosity.
Yeah, and it was like I ended up doing everything I wanted to do, like restaurant, memoir, the movie. And then I came back and started a podcast with Wifey because I was like, I miss intimate conversation. I miss talking to individual fans. Like I'll respond to them in the comments and I got stuff going on. Because like as a writer and director, you really only get to make something once every 3 to 5 years. And that like fallow period is unbearable for me. And so the podcast is like a good way to like every week, like let me use the brain. Let me like open up because I realized I was just like, I'm rotting on my fucking couch.
Yeah, a lot of people who are writers gravitated to podcasts too because it allows them to put out stuff that gets seen by far more people or heard by far more people with far less effort. Like Sam Harris has said that. Like, you know, Sam has written quite a few really great books, but he also does his podcast. And the podcast, probably in one episode that he does in just a couple hours, reaches more people than, you know, I mean, if how much does the average book sell? Like, what is it? How many copies does a book have to sell to get on the New York Times bestseller list?
I think maybe it's not that much first week.
I don't think it's that much, right?
It's not that much. I think it's like a couple thousand to get on the New York Times bestseller.
So
list.
every episode that he has is a New York Times bestseller, and he does it in just a few hours instead of like months and months and months of, you know, writing and editing and
That's
soul
the big part. You don't have an
searching
editor.
and snorting Adderall.
Yeah.
Woo!
And it
Right?
becomes a group project. Like I have very few editors. I have an editor, Rachel, I like Audible. She's great. My old editor, Chris Jackson, made my shit better. But there's very few people you work with that actually make it better. They really just want to make it make sense to them. A lot of them.
And a lot of them want to get their greasy little fingers on something and leave their fingerprints.
Yeah.
I told Eddie to do it like this.
Yeah, the worst editors and producers are artists by proxy because they don't want to take the risk of being an artist.
Right.
But I'll Rasputin you.
And
I'll
they think
move you
they're
around.
experts. I am an expert. Listen, I know how to make a film.
Yeah.
I have ideas that are bulletproof.
Yeah.
I've been successful on 15 projects. Yeah. It's
And
a
then-
weird world, man.
It is.
If you could be in a self-produced world, you're so much better off. Because then you have to interact with people that aren't doing their own thing. They're doing other people's things, which may work, but oftentimes doesn't. If you looked at like the formula for creating a good show on television, how many shows do they pick that never become any good? Is it half? Are they even 50% successful? What do you think they are? Like, if you had to guess, like, let's just go sitcoms. What percentage of sitcoms that they create are any good or become successful? Is it 50?
Yo, like I think they make like 250 a year, I think was the number or something like that. And how many do I enjoy and watch? Succession, White Lotus,
Do you think Succession is
Yellow
a sitcom?
Jackets. Oh no, that's not a sitcom. No. I my bad. I was giving credit for all of it.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But no, sitcom zero. Like for me to watch, zero. Like
They're still making them, though.
they're still making them.
Isn't
There's
that wild?
somebody's eating that
There's
up.
a few of them that are good. Miss Pat's is really funny. Miss Pat's is genuinely very
Abbott
funny.
Elementary is good. I guess that would
What's
be
Abbott Elementary?
It's cool. It's about like school teachers in Philadelphia. It's like The Office, but it's a workplace comedy. Like Zach Fox is in it, and it's in Philadelphia with teachers. You would like it, but it's at the level of a sitcom like 30 Rock, where it's single camera. It's very elevated, but it's on network television, so technically a sitcom.
You know what I watched the first episode of? The Good Place.
Oh, is that good?
Dude, it's funny, man.
Really?
Yes.
I gotta watch it.
This is one of those, like, when you have a wife and daughters, occasionally, this time it was only one of them that had the idea, you have to make sacrifices. You can't watch what you want to watch. Sometimes you have to watch what they want to watch. And they tricked me many times. But not this one. This one, the good place is Ted Danson and what's that pretty lady's name? Who's Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell. And it's fucking funny, man. I laughed hard. It's about heaven. I don't want to give away anything, but it was funny. I was like, that's a funny fucking show. So that was an NBC show.
I'm gonna watch it.
How many episodes? What does Rotten Tomatoes give it?
4 seasons, maybe.
Does Rotten Tomatoes say I have shitty taste?
Who cares?
Was it for? Like, is Ted Danson dead?
No.
He's not.
No.
Oh
Been on
wow,
Curb
this is
for a while.
highly rated.
He's what, James?
Been on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, 97%. Wow. 89% average audience score, 97% average tomato meter. I just watched the 2016 to what?
Yo,
What
I'm
does
gonna
it say?
I'm gonna watch this.
20.
4 years.
So it was 4 years. So it stopped 3 years. Dude, it's fucking funny. The first episode is, at least. I laughed pretty fucking hard. And I was like, this is clever. It's interesting. It's different.
The thing for me, well, that's a better era. Right now, I just feel like it's so calculated, like algorithmic, what shows get picked. It's just like music. TikTok determines everything. And like, it's not that I'm against it. TikTok's dope. It's just that the music industry is like, this is the one metric. This is what we're going to use to like decide which shows. And I think what's cool about podcasts, right, is you've been doing this forever, is I think the podcasts that work and stay and keep fans, it's because the person is intimate. They have a relationship with you and you gave them something fucking real.
I think that definitely helps.
Because
I think
otherwise,
it's
why would they
also-
keep
it's-
downloading episodes?
It's fun to think of how you think about conversations, and I don't think we have enough conversations. And one of the things about podcasts is you get to kind of participate in the conversation just in your head while you're doing something else. So if you have some fucking mundane, boring-ass job and you're listening to a podcast, your mind gets to be taken on a little trip, and next thing you know, fucking 3 hours is gone. Your shift is almost over, and you're chilling. That's the beauty of podcasts, is that we all want to have conversations. And, we're all like, hey, if I could talk to Eddie Huang, what would I say? I'll fucking shoot the shit with that dude. That'd be fun. And so that's what we're doing. Like, we're doing it like normal.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone's a
this
little
is how you
lonely.
and I would talk if we were having dinner.
Yeah, in the bathroom. We were talking in the bathroom, like taking a piss. It's the same fucking shit.
Same exact conversation.
Like, we should take a piss together more.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's the same exact kind of conversation. We have it all the time. Anytime I talk to you, it would be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but that is fun. And it's, no one would have ever saw that coming, though. Like, if you can't even blame, like, some radio network person. They would have never saw that shit coming.
No. And it wouldn't work on radio because they'd have to fucking put ads in every 8 minutes.
It wouldn't work on radio because you'd have someone leaning over your shoulder.
Yeah.
That would be the
Pig
problem.
vomit.
If we walked out the door and there's a fucking office and they're like, hey, Eddie, this thing that you keep bringing up, every time you talk about it, this goes down and that goes up, and like, oh.
Yeah. No, that was the literal. You remember that movie Private Parts, right? Where pig vomit was just like
the
down.
Howard Stern movie, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti was just down his throat. And I was watching that a few months ago, sitting on the couch with my girl and her mom, and that's when I was like, I want to do a podcast. I'm so sick of like studios and everybody just kind of like breathing down my neck like fucking pig vomit. But for you, right, when somebody has to have asked you this, but like, what made you want to do a pod?
It was just for fun. Well, I'd see what Tom Green had done in his house. He developed like some sort of a podcast before there were podcasts. That was like 2007. And he was just doing it from a website. and it was like Tom Green TV or something like that.
Yeah, I remember
It was
that.
great. And then I watched Anthony Cumia. He did this thing live from the compound where he had like a green screen behind him and he was like doing karaoke with a machine gun. I was like, what the fuck? Like you could just do it. You could do like a radio show from your house. And so me and Brian Redband just said, let's try it. Just like with a webcam and just talking shit. And then as time went on, like my idea of what it was sort of kind of changed to the point where now it almost feels like it. I think certain things that people do, it's almost like that thing wanted to get out there. That thing wanted to be born. That thing wanted to introduce people to all these interesting folks and have and introduce people to all these different ways of thinking and looking at things. Because that's part of what's fun about it. Like the more people you talk to, the more you get to see patterns that maybe you see in your own self. You get to talk to people and find out why they think what they think, and sort of flavors how you look at yourself, flavors the way you look at the world. We're all better off for listening to good conversations. I fucking love listening to a good conversation. Even like I was listening to Douglas Murray having this discussion. They were discussing immigration and what causes inequality, and it's like having a conversation, like interesting conversations that make you think are so fucking critical, because sometimes you'll like get boxed in on a thought where you give a cursory look at something and you go, well, I have this knee-jerk reaction, that's probably right, and then you watch somebody else talk about it and you go, oh, look at it from their perspective. And if it's an eloquent perspective that's convincing and interesting, and then someone else has a counter to that. You're like, God damn, he's got some good points too. Holy shit! And it just sort of makes you reassess the way you look at things and why are we so dogmatic and why are we so attached to ideas? What is it about ideas that are so attractive to us that we want to hang our hat on that idea to show that we're smarter because we believed in that idea?
Yeah, conversation at its core, it can be very humbling and enlightening at the same time.
Yeah.
It's dope. And then sometimes I like to listen to your homie Tim Dillon just rant by himself, and then I feel like I'm talking to him, and I'm just like, yo, I listened to this guy talk straight for an hour. It's so fire.
He's the best ranter that's ever existed.
Yeah.
No one rants better than him. When he gets on a subject, especially if it's about like corruption or something like absolutely ridiculous, like
Don Boss.
he goes for it. He fucking goes for it. He's so funny, man.
He's
Fun
the
dude.
greatest ranter. Like him and my mom. My mom's a really good ranter.
Yeah. They're the best.
Yeah.
It's like there's a few out there. Bill Burr is a great ranter. I think Tim is the funniest ranter ever. I really do. Like when he just fucking goes for it. Like, and also he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
So his takes, they make sense.
They make a lot of sense, and they cut through the noise. That's the thing about him that I'm like, oh, you don't care if this hurts somebody's feelings because it's truthful. And that's what I fuck with him about. He's very truthful.
Well, at this point in time, it seems like that needs to be a thing.
Yeah.
It's like we're allowed, because we're trying to protect people's feelings, we're allowing all kinds of fucking madness in the world.
But the crazy shit about Tim Dillon's shows, right? I went to his show. Like, I drove all the way to Irvine to watch this guy.
Nice.
And I don't know if his audience is in on the joke. Like, they're laughing at it earnestly when he's, like, laughing at them. And I'm like, yo,
Well, it's a bit of two things. It's a bit of two things happening simultaneously. Like, because Tim is conservative, and he's also gay.
Yeah.
And he's very insightful and funny, but he's also making fun of morons. It's like he's doing both things simultaneously. And what he's essentially doing is just being fucking hugely entertaining. Like, that's part of what the whole thing is. It's just hugely entertaining. And for whatever reason they laugh at it, if they don't get it, they're not even in on the joke, it's still funny.
I don't even know if I would fully categorize him as conservative, because there's certain takes of his that are like anti-war. He's very anti-war.
Yes. I wouldn't say, maybe conservative's not the correct, right of center, I would say.
Yeah.
Right of center.
I would agree there.
That's the problem, right, is that we have two choices, conservative or liberal. I'm so much more liberal than I am conservative. So much more on most things. But there's a couple things where I'm like, hey, hard work's important. Hey, maybe you should be able to have a gun. Hey.
Yeah.
There's a few of those things.
I would see Tim
most of
is
them,
logical to, like, a lot of his takes. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Very logical.
Like,
very well thought out and very informed.
Yeah.
He's not talking out of his ass like me.
Yeah. And he's not like he's down for diversity. He's like on
Yeah,
a
he's
lot
gay.
of the cultural issues, he's pretty progressive.
But he's also very progressive. But he's also like real honest about what's going on here, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his take on the school shooter, but I'm sure it's going to be a doozy.
Oof.
This whole thing is so crazy, man. It's so terrifying that someone would want to do that to kids. It's so terrifying.
It's really upsetting.
It's really upsetting, and it's just
Every time.
I feel like there's going to come a time where we decide that the only way to stop this is armed guards, which is no one wants to go to that place. No one wants to have armed guards in front of every school. We never had that before. Why do we have that now? And I get it. I get that no one would want that. I mean, it's horrific.
Yeah.
But I also get that, like, I don't see any other way to protect this idea that you're going to take all the guns away. They're not going to go for that. It's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Bill of Rights. You're not going to. The Second Amendment, people aren't going to just give their guns up. As fucked up as that sounds, because it's not the law-abiding people with guns that are the problem. It's people with mental health problems. That's the problem. And they get a hold of guns. So how do you stop the people with mental health problems from getting a hold of guns and doing this? That's the real question. And I don't know the fucking answer. And I don't think anybody does. That's why no one's done anything. And the best that anybody does is put armed guards in front of schools. And, and then people get upset on social media and they talk about taking guns away. And then it becomes a big discussion of whether or not that's the answer to this and and whether or not that promotes tyranny, whether or not disarming the people is like good for us overall. Is there anything that's a net positive about the country being armed? Is there anything that's a net positive about the Second Amendment? And when those conversations happen, that's when things get very interesting, and you find out why we agree on certain things, why we disagree on other things, and what we think is the cause of these horrific tragedies. And one of the major causes is clearly that to order to do something like that, something has to be horribly wrong, and we have to figure out, like, is there a way to spot that? Is there a way to stop that other than armed guards? Is there a way to reach that person? Should we be more sensitive about people or is it impossible to detect? Is it some people just hide it until they want to do it? I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's fucked though, dude. It's fucked. It's really scary shit. It's really scary shit how often it's happening.
I would have to say that school shootings are the most disturbing genre of news. Like, I get the saddest, like, I will cry. Like the Odessa one, I was like, this one was really rough. Yesterday's is really rough. The thing for me, though, is I feel that a large part of the issue is that we're always arguing about the exact cause. And my thing is, This is a multi-cause issue. This is a complete reflection of our society. And we're wasting time arguing, is it the guns? Is it mental health? I really feel it's a lot of things combined. The guns aren't shooting people themselves, but the guns are very available to people that probably should not have them. And then it gets caught up in, like, are we taking away the guns? I'm like, that's actually not the issue. How can we stop this from happening? Let's all get together and be like, we don't want to see kids shot in school. This is the worst thing that can possibly happen in your society.
Yeah.
And just shut it down. And like, let's say we put the armed guards at the school. Well, they still can shoot people at a supermarket. They could still shoot them at gymnastics class. These people, I think, are just there's something wrong. They're very unhappy. They're very angry. They want to do something to bring us to our knees. I can't say what mental health issue is afflicting each one of these shooters. Something is wrong, but I do also feel that until we get a hold of this and until we can heal as a society and people don't hate each other so much, not allowing the guns to be this available to people isn't the worst idea.
The problem is they're already there. They're already available. There's too many of them. Like, if you try to stop the flow, like, first of all, they're constantly making new ones, right? So think of that. And then second of all, there's 400 million guns in America right now. It's like, stop all production, stop all production, stop all sales. You still have 400 million guns.
Okay,
There's
I like
literally
to take
no way to stop it.
Yo, so this is I do this mental. This is the mental gymnastics that happen when I'm trying to figure something out that I cannot figure out, like this issue of school shooters. I try to get into an analogous or metaphorical place. So if we look at gun violence like inflation,
Okay.
and then we're the Fed. The guns are there. I agree with you. They're already out here. Prices are high, like inflation. Inflation is in our society. So people want to stop inflation.
Right.
Take back the guns. Stop lending free money out. But is inflation going down?
The fear that people have is the government has already shown that even with an armed populace, they will do what they can to be in control of people and to make people follow rules that they create that may not be in your best interest. And over time, it will be revealed that it's not in your best interest and you have no recourse. And people are scared that if they didn't have guns, if they're treating us like that and people have guns, how would the government treat us if they were the ones that had all the power? And I think that's a real good fear if you look at human history. But I don't think that there's a utopian answer to this. It's all bad when this happens, and there's no one's making a clear case to how to avoid tyranny and stop this from happening. The best I've heard is armed guards.
So when a lot of people will be like these conservative nutbags that want their guns, I'm like, all right, if you're already looking at them like that, then you can't see the issue because nothing is this clear cut.
It's fun to call them conservative nutbags want their guns.
Yeah, it's fun, but if we care about these kids, it's important to be like, all right, let's give credence to what they're saying, which is, all right, I'm afraid of a government that runs unchecked. It's a legitimate common sense thing.
Yes.
I could see how a human being would want to worry about that. Then what I would say to the person is, have you seen Waco on Showtime? Do you think that you and your homies with some ammunition can actually defend and sustain a campaign against America within America? No. So how would we, let's put our brains together. If the fear is an unchecked government and we don't want to live in a place like that, how do we handle that? Well, get rich, have a business like Amazon, have a business like Apple, have fucking lobbyists. It's business. Business is how you hold governments accountable. It's not the guns. That's what I would try to explain to people.
So you would tell someone if they want to change the world, become Apple. Make a new Apple. And then just take over.
Leverage.
But
it's
that's
leverage.
So hard to do.
It's hard.
You're literally saying make an Apple. Make Apple. Make the most successful company in the history of the world.
But it would be even more ridiculous to give someone an AR-15 and say, defend like this country.
Yeah, you're not going to defend. You're not going to defend. But you also have to recognize this.
That's how ridiculous.
But we're looking at very abstract concepts of like the country. The country is comprised of people. And those people are not rich. The people that are in the military, that are doing the bidding of the military, they won't do it. See, this is where it becomes a real problem. If you tell the people that they have to go after their own neighbors for something that doesn't make any sense, that will be where the rubber meets the road. So the thing is, like Jordan Peterson talks about this often, that the way things change is not all at once. The way things change are in these little small steps, where it's almost unrecognizable, and you give into it, and then you're a little bit further down the road, and then you give into another little insult, and you're a little bit further down the road. And over time, you look, and you've given up an insane amount of your rights, and then you live in a dictatorship. And this is what people worry about with any control that the government has more than it has now. This is what people worried about whenever they talk about extreme taxes, like when the government in California raised the taxes up to 14%. People are like, what the fuck are you fucking you piece of shit? They're just stealing money from you. And they would there's income inequality, and we have to take care of it by taxing the fuck out of you. And then where does the money go? Does it fix anything? No, they're stealing money. And there's people that think because they're liberals that that's a good idea. We should raise the taxes and no one should be rich. Well, then you know who's rich? The government. They have all your fucking money, and you're not going to work as much.
Because
none of this is good.
Because this society, this country wants us stupid. So they offer us two really stupid, ineffective solutions in the Democrats and Republicans. And they're both Rube Goldbergs. And they
Yeah.
set up it's WWF, man. You remember those Rube Goldbergs? You like put a ball and it goes around and all these things happen. So like if you disagree with this, then this is where it ends up and yada yada. The one idea we talked about today that I do think would hold governments accountable to us is the idea of global mobility. If the countries are competing for citizens, then we theoretically would have the best deal.
That would be wild if we just all agree. But the problem with that is the only way to do that, you have to have some sort of a government. And this sounds very suspiciously like some one world government shit. And that is the last thing you want.
We don't want one world government.
Right.
We want countries competing as businesses for
Right.
us as customers to live there.
So if we all just agreed, hey, let's stop with this fucking killing each other and just compete for people to move to your spot.
It's like Florida and Texas. They offered you no income tax, right? So
Well, this
it's competitive.
discussion that I was telling you about with Douglas Murray, one of the things they were talking about was the exploitation of people in Mexico with cheap labor that's forcing them to want to come to the United States. It's a very good point. It's an interesting point, right? Like, what is this? What is wrong down south where they're risking their fucking lives and their babies' lives to come up here? How did this happen? And are we to blame? Like, is automobile manufacturing moving there? Is all these different factories and plants moving there? And then people knowing that if you could just get across that river, you make real money.
Yeah.
Like real money. Like you get rich. You just work hard, you can get ahead. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But why can't you get ahead over there? Like, what is wrong? What happened? It's probably partially to do with moving manufacturing over there for extremely cheap labor.
And
Right?
And also America has always kind of made it a business to cripple Mexico. You know, like we're so embedded with Mexico because it's classic country strategy to weaken your closest neighbor. You know, like Mexico cannot be a threat to America. So, you know, I think there's a lot of Mexican government that we're involved in.
I'd say try this, but the problem is the bottom of it's broken. You're gonna get a mouthful of weed.
No, that's
Do
cool.
your best. Do your best with that mouthful of weed. Yeah. Yeah, I told you, it's terrible. It's terrible. I think what everybody wants is to be happy and to enjoy life and to pursue your dreams, do the thing that you enjoy doing. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
And the more we can move towards that collectively as a society, the better it is. And I don't know how to do that. And I don't know if there's a way we can just look, instead of looking at things as right versus left, it's like, what do we all agree on? Can we find the stuff we agree on? Just think about that.
And I think, too, it's just because the idea of identity is tied to country and family. That's, you know, you talk to any person where it gets dicey and where things stop making sense is when it gets down to family or it gets down to like culture and religion, because you've basically blacked out those areas of your brain and consciousness where you're like, I'm not going to open that Pandora's box.
Yeah.
But if you open it, it's fucking scary the first 10 years. But after a while, you're like, no, I'm glad I considered that. I'm glad I thought about that because I'm not so tied to this country or identity or even this fucking family.
Yeah. And we shouldn't be tied to any identity, especially like ideological, like a left wing or a right wing. I think it's like cults, man. I think it's not much different than people that have like cult like thinking. I have a friend of mine, and she was telling me today, in fact, that she grew up in a cult. She was telling me this whole thing. They told her she was a prophet. And when she realized the cult was fake, she's like, "Thank God I could be a normal person. I thought it was a prophet." like people get sucked in. They get sucked into that. They get sucked into being a right-wing person. They get sucked into being a left-wing person. They get sucked into being Antifa. They get sucked into being a Proud Boys. People are fucking malleable, man, in the weirdest way. And we got to recognize that and stop thinking that those people on the right, I don't even understand how you think over there. I don't know how you sleep at night. And they're looking the same way that you. Like, you fucking idiot. You don't know who runs the banks. You don't know who's the military-industrial complex. You know,
Yeah. It's because you attach meaning to shit that has no fucking meaning.
Exactly.
And like, I almost ruined my own goddamn wedding last week because my girl's pregnant. And she didn't want to come to the dinner the night before the wedding. And I kept calling it a rehearsal dinner. But it's a fucking shotgun wedding with 9 people. It's not a rehearsal. No one's rehearsing shit. Yeah. You know? Where everyone's just there being like, get her on the insurance. You know? And she didn't want to come to dinner. I got really upset. I felt embarrassed. I was like, how could you embarrass me in front of my family and the 2 friends that are here? Like, why would you not come? And she's like, because it's not a rehearsal dinner. It doesn't mean what you're attaching this meaning to. I love you. I want to marry you.
Right.
I don't feel good. I'm pregnant. I want to go to sleep. I could not fucking let it go.
Oh, no.
And I was like, if you don't come to dinner, I'm not marrying you.
Dude.
And she didn't come, and she goes, you know what? I don't want to marry you. And 7 a.m. of the day of the wedding last week, I thought I wasn't getting married.
Oh, no.
I was in shambles, and she brought me to my knees, and I just had to say to her, I said, wrong or right, I really can't see my life without you. I can't. I can't. And I was like, for once, I don't need to try to be right. I don't need to win a fucking argument. I don't need to attach meaning to this thing that doesn't mean shit. Because, like, what would be really whack is if I didn't get to live my life with you.
How many people have made the wrong choice like that with someone? And then wound up just fucking miserable. And you see that person go off to get married to someone else and have kids, like, oh no.
Dude, the moment flashed before my eyes, and I like, it was a moment of truth. And for 2.5 hours, I really, because she left, she packed her bags and left. Didn't tell me she went to her mom's room, but I thought she left. And I had to sit there and just be like, dude, very few things are worth it. But this relationship, like romance, love, that's worth it. This other shit's not worth it.
Yeah, very well. It's so tempting in the moment when you're hot and you're mad. Just go, well, fuck this thing. I'll fucking move on with my life. It's easy to bail on things, but it depends entirely upon the relationship. It seems like you have a really good relationship. Sometimes people should bail.
Yeah. No, sometimes you gotta bail.
Sometimes you gotta bail.
Yeah, this one
right?
I had to stay in because I'm like, I've never felt this way. The feelings are real. But if the feelings weren't real, fucking
Bro,
get the fuck out.
sometimes you're in a bad spot. You're like, oh my God, this poor guy.
Yeah.
He gotta get out, bro.
Yeah.
This ain't getting better.
It's not always right to go for it, but if you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I think every one of us knows.
Hopefully. The problem is when a girl's really hot, they can trick you. You can think you know. You're willing to, like, I don't think there's anything like it in the world where it's that convincing.
Yeah, my girl's hot, but she also shit on the floor, I got a clear look at her. I was like, nah.
It seems like you guys know each other for real.
Yeah. She pushed me to the brink, shitting in my pants.
I think for most guys, a really hot woman has an insane amount of control over you. It's hard to, like, most guys will never experience what, like, a really hot woman is like just to be around when she's attracted to you. Like, how much, if you took a guy, you take some, like, a Elizabeth Hurley in her prime looking.
Oh, yo, that's crazy. She's like top for me.
Bro,
Yeah.
she still looks great. She's 150 years old.
Versace pin dress. Ugh.
Bro, she still looks great.
Yeah.
Like, you know how much influence she would have over the average guy? Like, if you really did believe that she was in love with you, you're like, I'm quitting my job. What do I have to do? Tell me what to do. Tell me where to move.
I almost moved to fucking Boston. But you know, the thing is I felt this way. 90 days is the amount of time I realized a hot woman loses my attention.
Only 90?
90 days.
After that, they become a regular person.
Yeah, because I'm trying to hit it as many times as I can.
Over 90, and then
90
you're
days.
out of jizz, and you're like, hey, who are you?
Yeah. Yeah, 90 days of nutting. I'm like, all right.
And you're like, so what else do we have to talk about?
Yeah.
I don't have any cum left. Let's develop a friendship. Let's find shared interests.
Then you need conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get lucky and you find someone that you really enjoy, it makes life a better place. That's for sure. But it's all about, you also have to be worthy of getting lucky. Like, you have to be someone who, when they meet you, they think they got lucky. Like, oh, he's so nice, he's so fun, this is great. They want to. They also want to. It can't just be a good deal for you.
Yeah. How long you been with your wife?
We've been a while, man. Married for 13 years, 14 years. Yeah. She's the best.
How'd you meet
I
her?
get along great with her, man. I met her at a bar.
Oh.
I get along great with her because first of all, she's easily as funny as me. Like, when we go out, which is very important. Like, if you're a comedian and the person you're with is not funny, that can be a bummer. You know?
Just generally, if your partner's not funny, it's impossible.
But if we go out, like if we're on a double date, she's the one who usually goes for it. She's the one who says hilarious shit. She's like making me laugh. She's got great timing. It's very funny. She's also just like the nicest person I know. Being with someone that you really love is like, it changes how you interface with the world. And when you talk about like incels, and you talk about like women that are single, that are in their 60s, and like there's a lot of people that are in despair out there because we have this connection to each other that we sometimes don't recognize. We sometimes don't talk about it or think about it. And it's it's human beings are not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in a tribe of people that are learning from each other and communicating with each other. And when people get older and they just lose, like we're talking about, like old hot ladies. When ladies are hot and they're young, they're so attractive and so confusing to men. Like, when you're around them, like you're on drugs. You're like, Jesus Christ, what am I saying? You feel yourself stammering over your words. You're nervous. You're reaching for doors and shit. But then when they get older, all that goes away, and that's a crazy turn of events. That's a crazy turn of events when you're so much of your life in the young years is about being attractive, and then it goes away.
Damn, I hope that doesn't happen. Like,
I think we're gonna have hot robots.
I would love some hot robots.
For those people, we're gonna have hot robots. Imagine if you go over to Nana's house and fucking Tarzan's taking care of her.
Yeah.
You open the door, there's a dude with a loincloth.
Oh, no.
Sweaty, like a little slightly dirty body. Yeah, that's Grandma's Tarzan robot that's been just gorilla fucking her.
See, we'll have to revisit. Yo, you know what, though? I saw a shorty on CNN I was randomly watching CNN, and there was like a lady who's like an attractive lady, and she's like 60 years old on CNN.
Some hot ladies out there that get old.
Rosemary something. And I'm like, we can revisit this in 20 years, but I feel like I definitely can affirmatively say my relationship is not built around like how attractive wifey is, even though she is.
I like what you're doing here. You're hedging your bets.
I'm hedging my bets.
Smart. Being smart. A disclaimer, a little social disclaimer.
Yeah, she is attractive, but I feel I'm pretty
That's not
assertive.
the most important thing.
It's not the most important thing. It's a big bonus, right? Right? But she genuinely makes me better because I'm like, I don't listen to nobody. And I listen to her because I respect her. She's smarter than me. But two, she's one of the few people I know cares about me genuinely and is not self-interested. So I listen, and that I get better because I don't listen to nobody.
Sometimes you need someone to listen to. You need someone who has your best interest and someone who really does care about you.
Because we can't see everything. Like there's shit that a lot of people had said to me before, but I only listened to her, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I hate that term partner, but only because two people use it in this like stupid cultural sense. Like, this is my partner. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, they are like a partner. Like someone who's a good husband or a good wife is a life partner.
Yeah.
It's very important.
I would
And it's-
never introduce her as a partner. That's whack.
gross.
Yeah, it's just whack to
This
me.
is my partner. Okay,
Yeah.
we're never being friends.
Yeah, like you're not eating it front to back if
Bro.
you're calling them partner. You know?
Tim Kennedy told a story on this podcast about going to Starbucks, and he orders something, then he orders something for his wife, and the barista, corrects him and says, "Your partner?" And he goes, "No, my wife." Like, what are you talking about? You can't decide what I call my
Yeah,
wife.
man.
You can't change it.
Yeah.
You mean your partner? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Am I being berated here?
I
It's so
respect it
silly.
if other people you want to do it, you want to say it, fine. But me, don't come in my house and tell me.
That's the problem with this
Yeah.
ideology shit. Is like it gets in people and they think that they have the right to correct you and tell you what to do because you're not following along with their there is zero thing that's degrading about being a wife. Zero. You know, it doesn't have any definition to you other than the fact that you're married. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're not super successful, smart, make more money than the man. It doesn't mean anything. Just means you're the wife. You're the female in the relationship. For someone to correct you, like partner.
And I
partner.
take pride in being her husband.
Yeah.
I want you
It's
to
nice.
call me your
Yeah.
husband. And if you want to call me
Partner.
you know, if I want to call you babe and you want to call me the conquistador, wonderful.
What are we, a
Nobody's going
buddy
to tell
cop
me
duo?
not to.
Partner?
Yeah.
Fuck is that?
Yeah.
Fuck is this?
Yeah, we turned her in fucking hooch.
We're Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
Yeah. No.
Fucking partners. Shut up.
Yeah.
You get lucky though. I got lucky, and it seems like you got lucky too. You can get lucky, and you can also, you gotta be someone that someone wants to be with too. That's what's hard. Right?
Yeah.
It's hard to get yourself to a point where you're not annoying.
I'm working on not being annoying. I'm really trying. I'm learning. I was like, fuck, I'm annoying. And it's only because I care about her, you know?
Of course. Well, that's how you grow, right? When people you love think you're annoying, you go, oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Gotta say it.
She be expressing I'm annoying. And at first it's like feelings hurt. Then I'm like, that was annoying. I would be annoyed too.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, hey, my brother, it was great catching up with you. I think we did like 3.5 hours, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking 4:48.
Time flew. I got to fly back.
It was easy. When are you flying back tonight?
Tonight, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank
What
you for
time?
having me, man.
My pleasure. Next
always
time,
best.
I want to show you the club. Next time, come. I'll show you the club.
Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
come.
This is so much fun. We'll do it again.
Yeah,
Okay?
thanks,
All right,
Joe.
brother. Thank you. Bye.